Edward Green's eyes widen as he stares at the holographic display, his mind refusing to accept the numbers before him. Earth, his home, the cradle of humanity, is not the Class 7 world the Galactic Federation has labeled it. It's a Class 13 Deathworld, possibly even a 14. Vita, are you seeing this? Edward calls out to his Voth colleague, his voice trembling with a mixture of excitement and disbelief. The alien scientist glides over, her elongated neck craning to examine the data. Impossible, she whispers, her scaled skin rippling with agitation. No inhabited world has ever been classified above Class 10. But the evidence is irrefutable. As Edward scrolls through the planetary data, comparing Earth statistics to the galactic standard, the discrepancies become glaringly obvious. Extreme weather patterns that would devastate most civilizations are merely inconveniences to humans. Tectonic activity that would render entire continents uninhabitable is a fact of life on Earth. The sheer diversity of flora and fauna, much of it lethal to off-worlders, paints a picture of a planet that should be inhospitable to intelligent life. Yet here they stand, in the newly established alien outpost in low Earth orbit, surrounded by the fruits of human ingenuity and resilience. "We need to report this," Vita says, her normally calm demeanor shaken. "The High Command must be informed immediately." Edward nods, but a seed of doubt takes root in his mind. What will this mean for Earth's place in the galactic community? As he compiles the evidence, creating a comprehensive report on human physiology and Earth's unique characteristics, he can't shake the feeling that this discovery will change everything. Within hours, the news spreads like wildfire through both human and Voth channels. Edward finds himself summoned to a closed-door meeting with top government officials, their faces grave as they discuss the implications of his findings. "Dr. Green, do you understand what this could mean for us?" A stern-faced woman asks, her voice tight with concern. "If Earth is reclassified, we could face increased scrutiny from the Federation. They might even impose quarantine measures." Edward swallows hard, the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. "I understand, but the data doesn't lie. We can't simply ignore this." As the officials debate the best course of action, a message arrives. The Voth are sending a team of their most experienced scientists and military advisors to Earth. The atmosphere in the room shifts from concern to near panic. "We need to find a way to downplay this," one official argues. "Dr. Green, your task is to find a balance between scientific integrity and interstellar diplomacy. We can't afford to alarm the galactic community." As Edward leaves the meeting, his mind racing with possibilities, he bumps into his colleague, Dr. Marcus Adams. The older scientist's eyes are alight with excitement. "Edward, this is incredible," Marcus exclaims. "Don't you see? This could elevate humanity's status in the galaxy. We should embrace our true classification. It could deter future threats." But Edward hesitates, remembering the fear in the Voth's eyes when they realize the true nature of Earth. "It's not that simple, Marcus. We need to tread carefully." As the Voth team arrives on Earth, beginning their own investigations with barely concealed skepticism, Edward dives deeper into his research. He uncovers startling evidence suggesting that humans may have evolved unique adaptations, allowing them to thrive in conditions lethal to most sentient species. The implications are staggering. Earth's true classification could reshape the future of human-alien relations, for better or worse. As Edward prepares to present his findings to a joint human-Voth scientific panel, he knows that the fate of Earth's place in the galactic order hangs in the balance. The clock ticks down to the presentation, and Edward takes a deep breath. It's time to reveal the truth about Earth, the Class 13, or perhaps even Class 14 Deathworld that humanity calls home. As Edward took his place at the podium, the weight of his findings pressing down on his shoulders, he caught sight of Dr. Marcus Adams fidgeting nervously in the front row. The joint human-Voth scientific panel settled into an expectant silence, the air thick with anticipation. "Distinguished colleagues," Edward began, his voice steady despite the butterflies in his stomach. "Today I stand before you with—" "Stop!" Dr. Adams leapt to his feet, his face flushed and eyes wild. "I can't let the charade continue." A collective gasp rippled through the audience. Edward froze, his mouth hanging open in shock. "I've already informed key members of the Galactic Federation about Earth's true classification," Marcus declared, his words tumbling out in a frenzied rush. "They know everything." Chaos erupted in the auditorium. Human officials shouted accusations while Voth representatives hissed and clicked in agitation. Edward gripped the edges of the podium, his knuckles turning white as he watched years of careful diplomacy unravel before his eyes. Within hours, alarms blared across every major city on Earth. The sky above sparkled with the arrival of a Federation fleet, their ships gleaming ominously in the afternoon sun. At the center of the armada loomed the Zarkax battlecruiser, its imposing silhouette casting a shadow over the planet below. Admiral Cthorus' gravelly voice echoed through every communication channel on Earth. "Attention, inhabitants of Sol 3. By decree of the Galactic Federation, your world is hereby placed under immediate quarantine. Any attempt to breach this blockade will be met with lethal force." Panic spread like wildfire. Stock markets crashed worldwide as the reality of Earth's isolation set in. In the streets, people rushed to stockpile supplies, their faces masks of fear and uncertainty. Edward found himself whisked away to a secure underground facility, where he joined a hastily assembled crisis response team. General Jonathan Blackwell paced the length of the war room, his weathered face set in stubborn persistence. Dr. Lyra Tsin, Edward's Voth colleague, sat motionless in a corner, her scaled skin a sickly shade of gray. "We need options, people," Blackwell barked, thumping his hand on the table. "This quarantine will cripple us if we don't act fast." As the team pored over reports and strategic assessments, disturbing intelligence began to trickle in. Edward's eyes widened as he read a decoded transmission from a Federation spy. "General," he called out, his voice tight with urgency, "you need to see this." The report detailed the machinations of several powerful factions within the Galactic Federation, chief among them the Crax Imperium. Their argument for the immediate colonization of Earth sent chills down Edward's spine. Outside, the situation deteriorated rapidly. Federation satellites swarmed Earth orbit, their presence a constant reminder of humanity's precarious position. Edward and Dr. Tsin worked tirelessly to analyze the data from these devices, uncovering their true purpose. "They're not just watching us," Lyra whispered, her voice tinged with fear. "They're preparing for an invasion." As days stretched into weeks, Earth's resources began to strain under the quarantine. Reports of riots and looting flooded in from major cities around the globe. The United Earth Defense Force scrambled to maintain order while simultaneously preparing for a potential alien invasion. In a classified facility deep beneath the Mojave Desert, Operation Fortress took shape. Scientists and engineers worked around the clock, pushing the boundaries of human knowledge as they integrated alien technology into Earth's defense systems. Amidst the chaos, Edward made a breakthrough that could change everything. Poring over data from Earth's deep space missions, he uncovered a pattern that had gone unnoticed for decades. "We've been terraforming other worlds," he explained to the crisis team, his eyes alight with excitement. "Without even realizing it, we've been making other planets more Earth-like simply by our presence." The implications were staggering. This unique ability could be the key to not only Earth's survival, but its acceptance as a valuable member of the galactic community. With renewed hope, Edward and his team formulated a daring plan to break through the quarantine and present their findings to the Federation Council. As they finalized the details, Dr. Tsin burst into the room, her scales rippling with agitation. "We have a problem," she hissed, her eyes darting nervously. "There are extremists within the Voth High Command. They plan to sabotage our mission and push for all-out war. The room fell silent as the weight of this new threat settled over them. Edward's mind raced, calculating the risks and potential consequences. They were now in a race against time, fighting not only to save Earth but to prevent a devastating interstellar conflict. As alarms blared and personnel rushed to their stations, Edward took a deep breath, steeling himself for the challenges ahead. The fate of Earth, and perhaps the entire galaxy, now rested in their hands. As Edward steeled himself for the challenges ahead, the facility's intercom crackled to life. "Dr. Green, report to Command Center Alpha immediately." General Blackwell's voice boomed, urgency evident in his tone. Edward exchanged a worried glance with Dr. Tsin before hurrying down the corridor. When he entered the command center, he found it bustling with activity. Screens displayed real-time data from Earth orbit, and a palpable tension filled the air. General Blackwell stood at the center of the room, his face grim. "We've got a situation, Doctor. Our intel suggests the UEDF is planning a covert operation to get you and your team off-planet." Edward's eyebrows shot up. "But, sir, we haven't finalized our plan yet. We're not ready." "We don't have a choice," Blackwell cut him off. "The Federation's patience is wearing thin. We need to move now." As they discussed the logistics of their hasty departure, a new face entered the room. A woman with short-cropped hair and piercing green eyes strode in, her military uniform crisp and impeccable. "Dr. Green, General Blackwell," she nodded curtly. "Commander Zarovek's military liaison. I've been assigned to assist with your evacuation." Edward couldn't shake an uneasy feeling as he shook her hand. Something about her demeanor seemed off, but he pushed the thought aside, focusing on the task at hand. Within hours, Edward and his team were en route to the UEDF's primary launch facility. As they approached, alarms blared across the compound. Red warning lights flashed, and technicians scrambled to their stations. "What's happening?" Edward demanded, his heart racing. A frantic technician turned to them, sweat beading on his forehead. "Multiple system failures. Sir, we've lost power to the main thrusters, and life support is fluctuating." Commander Vek's eyes narrowed. "Sabotage," she hissed. "We need to abort the launch and find another way off-planet." As they retreated from the facility, Edward's mind raced. The setback would give the Voth extremists more time to set their plan in motion. They needed a new strategy and fast. Back at the underground facility, Edward pored over geographical data, searching for an alternative. His eyes landed on a dormant supervolcano in Yellowstone National Park. An idea began to form, as wild as it was dangerous. What if we could prove Earth's classification beyond a doubt? He mused aloud. Show the Federation just how deadly our planet can be, while demonstrating our ability to survive it. Dr. Tsin's scales rippled with interest. "You're suggesting we trigger an eruption?" Edward nodded, his eyes gleaming with dedication. "A controlled one. Operation Inferno." As they began to flesh out the details of their audacious plan, alarms sounded once again. This time, it wasn't a technical malfunction. The news sent shockwaves through the facility. A small team of alien scouts had breached Earth's atmosphere and landed on the surface. General Blackwell's face appeared on the main screen, his expression grave. "We've identified them as Draxian scouts, led by a Captain Diar. They're collecting samples from various biomes. So far, they've managed to evade our detection systems." Edward's mind whirled with the implications. If the Draxians reported back to the Federation, it could spell disaster for Earth. They needed to act fast. As the team redoubled their efforts on Operation Inferno, chaos erupted across the globe. Reports flooded in of food shortages and power outages, leading to widespread riots. The UEDF implemented martial law in several regions, stretching their resources to the breaking point. Amidst the turmoil, Edward noticed Commander Vek's frequent absences and cryptic communications. His suspicions grew, but he had no concrete evidence of wrongdoing. Days passed in a blur of frantic activity. Dr. Tsin worked tirelessly with Earth's top geologists, refining their plans for a controlled eruption. General Blackwell coordinated a series of military exercises near the edge of the solar system, hoping to distract the Federation's attention. As the pieces of their plan fell into place, Edward made a startling discovery. Analyzing data from previous alien encounters, he uncovered evidence that Earth may have been artificially upgraded to its current state millennia ago. Before he could fully process this revelation, chaos erupted in the facility. Gunshots rang out and alarms blared. Edward raced towards the source of the commotion, his heart pounding. He arrived just in time to see Commander Vex, her true identity as a Crax Imperium operative now exposed, cornering Dr. Tsin with a weapon. In a blur of motion, a group of aliens burst into the room. The Draxian scouts, led by Captain Diarcan. "Stand down," Diarcan commanded, his weapon trained on Vex. "We've seen enough to know the truth about this world and its people." As Vex was subdued, Edward realized that the failed assassination attempt had inadvertently exposed the extent of the Crax Imperium's involvement in the crisis. The revelation sent shockwaves through the facility and beyond. With Commander Vex neutralized and the immediate threat averted, Edward and his team refocused on their mission. They had secured a prototype stealth ship capable of breaking through the quarantine. Now, they prepared to launch, carrying with them the data from Operation Inferno and the shocking evidence of Earth's possible artificial origins. As they boarded the ship, Edward took one last look at the planet he called home. The weight of their mission pressed down on him. They weren't just fighting for Earth's classification anymore. They were about to plunge into the heart of galactic politics, with the fate of humanity hanging in the balance. The engines roared to life, and the stealth ship rose from its hidden launch pad. As they accelerated towards the edge of Earth's atmosphere, Edward clutched the data drives containing their precious cargo. He knew that what lay ahead would test them in ways they couldn't imagine, but there was no turning back now. The ship pierced through the upper layers of the atmosphere, streaking towards the Federation blockade. Their journey to the heart of the Galactic Federation had begun, and with it, the fight for Earth's future in the cosmos. The stealth ship pierced through Earth's atmosphere, leaving behind the chaos of the underground facility. Edward's heart raced as he watched his home planet shrink in the view screen. The enormity of their mission burdened immensely on him. But there was no time for sentiment. As they approached the edge of Earth's orbit, alarms blared throughout the ship. Red warning lights flashed, bathing the cockpit in an eerie glow. "What's happening?" Edward demanded, his fingers flying over the control panel. Dr. Tsin's scales rippled with agitation as she analyzed the readouts. "The cloaking system is malfunctioning. We're exposed." Edward's stomach dropped. Their entire plan hinged on slipping past the Federation blockade undetected. Now, they were as visible as a flare in the night sky. The ship's communications crackled to life. Admiral Cthor's voice boomed through the speakers, tinged with scarcely controlled rage. "Unidentified vessel, you are in violation of the quarantine. Stand down immediately or face destruction." Before Edward could respond, a new voice cut through the channel. "This is Captain Dury. Admiral, we have a situation on the far side of the system. Multiple unidentified contacts approaching at high speed." Edward exchanged a puzzled glance with Dr. Tsin. They hadn't expected any help from the Draxian captain. Admiral Cthor's voice returned, now infused with uncertainty. "All ships converge on the new contacts. Maintain a skeleton force on the quarantine line." As the bulk of the Federation fleet peeled away, Edward seized the opportunity. He pushed the engines to their limits, aiming for a gap in the blockade. "Hold on," he shouted as the ship accelerated, G-forces pressing them into their seats. They burst through the opening, leaving the remaining Federation ships scrambling in their wake. For a moment, elation filled the cockpit. They had done it. They were free. But their celebration was short-lived. A proximity alert chimed, and Edward's blood ran cold as he saw the readout. A sleek, deadly-looking ship was rapidly gaining on them. "It's a Krax interceptor," Dr. Tsin hissed, her eyes wide with fear. The ship's computer identified their pursuer, Commander Zara Vex. Somehow, she had escaped custody and commandeered a vessel of her own. As Vex's ship closed the distance, the stealth ship's communications panel lit up. General Blackwell's face appeared on the screen, his expression grave. "Dr. Green, we have a situation," he said, his voice tight. "Operation Inferno has had unexpected consequences. The controlled eruption has triggered a chain reaction in Earth's tectonic plates. We're experiencing widespread seismic activity across the globe." Edward's mind reeled. Their attempt to prove Earth's classification had inadvertently put the entire planet at risk. The weight of their mission doubled in an instant. Before he could fully process this new information, a blinding flash lit up the cockpit. The ship rocked violently, alarms screaming as systems failed across the board. "Direct hit to our propulsion system," Dr. Tsin reported, her claws dancing over the controls. "We're losing speed fast." Edward's mind raced. They were sitting ducks, their mission on the verge of failure before it had truly begun. He turned to Dr. Tsin, desperation in his eyes. "Options." The Voth scientist hesitated for a moment, then spoke. "There is one possibility, the experimental gravity drive. We could use it to create a localized wormhole." Edward's eyes widened. That's never been tested outside of controlled conditions. "The risks are less than certain death if we do nothing," Dr. Tsin finished. With a nod, Edward made his decision. "Do it." As they worked feverishly to reconfigure the gravity drive, General Blackwell's voice came through once more. "We're launching a squadron to engage Vex. It should buy you some time." Through the view screen, Edward watched as a group of Earth's most advanced fighters streaked past, led by a ship with Maverick emblazoned on its hull. The gravity drive hummed to life, emitting a strange, pulsing radiation. Edward felt an odd, tingling sensation spreading through his body. His movements became faster, his thoughts clearer. Beside him, a cut on Dr. Tsin's arm sealed itself in seconds. "The drive," Edward gasped. "It's affecting us somehow." Before they could investigate further, the ship shuddered. The wormhole was forming, a swirling vortex of energy that threatened to tear them apart. "We need to angle our entry," Edward shouted over the roar of the collapsing space-time around them. "Use the gravitational forces to slingshot us through." With expert precision, Dr. Tsin adjusted their trajectory. The ship plunged into the wormhole, reality bending around them in impossible ways. Edward felt as if his body was being stretched and compressed simultaneously. In an instant, it was over. The wormhole collapsed behind them, and they found themselves hurtling through unfamiliar space. But their victory was short-lived. Alarms blared once more as the life support systems failed, damaged by the intense gravitational forces. As oxygen levels plummeted and the temperature dropped, Edward and Dr. Tsin worked desperately to restore power. Through the view screen, a massive structure loomed in the distance, unlike anything they had ever seen. "What is that?" Edward breathed, his vision starting to blur from lack of oxygen. Dr. Tsin's voice was weak but filled with awe. A space station, ancient, possibly connected to the civilization that upgraded Earth. As they drifted closer to the mysterious station, Edward realized their ship was beyond saving. There was only one option left. "Prepare for emergency EVA," he ordered, his voice raspy. "We need to reach that station." As they donned their suits and prepared to step into the void, Edward couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the verge of a discovery that would change everything. With Earth in peril, Commander Vex in pursuit, and their own survival hanging by a thread, they had no choice but to push forward into the unknown. Unknown, with Earth in peril. Commander Vex in pursuit, and their own survival hanging by a thread, they had no choice but to push forward into the void. Edward's heart pounded as he sealed his helmet, double-checking Dr. Tsin's suit connections. The airlock hissed open, revealing the vast expanse of space and the looming structure before them. They exchanged a final nod before launching themselves from the dying ship. The EVA was treacherous. Debris from their damaged vessel spun around them, threatening to puncture their suits. Edward maneuvered carefully, keeping his eyes fixed on the ancient station's hull. As they approached, strange patterns became visible on its surface, intricate designs that seemed to pulse with an inner light. There! Dr. Tsin's voice crackled through the calm. She pointed to an opening that looked like an airlock, barely visible amidst the station's complex architecture. They used their suit thrusters to guide themselves towards the entrance. As they drew near, the opening began to glow, responding to their presence. With a final push, they tumbled through the airlock, which sealed behind them with a soft hiss. Gravity returned abruptly, causing them to stumble. Edward helped Dr. Tsin to her feet as they surveyed their surroundings. The interior was dimly lit, with occasional flickers of energy pulsing through conduits in the walls. Minimal life support detected, Dr. Tsin reported, checking her suit's readings. We can remove our helmets, but we should keep the suits on. As they explored the vast structure, the team split up to cover more ground. Edward and Dr. Tsin headed towards what appeared to be the central control room, while the others searched for a way to repair their ship. The alien corridors twisted and turned, defying conventional architecture. As they walked, holographic interfaces sprang to life around them, displaying streams of information in an unknown language. Edward paused, studying the symbols intently. "These characters," he murmured, "they bear a striking resemblance to some of Earth's oldest known scripts. This could be the evidence we need to prove our theory about Earth's artificial origins." Dr. Tsin nodded, her scales rippling with excitement. "If we can decipher this language, we might unlock the secrets of the station and Earth's true history." As they neared the control room, the holograms became more frequent and complex. Edward's mind raced, trying to draw connections between the alien script and the ancient languages he had studied. Suddenly, a piercing alarm echoed through the station. Red lights flashed along the corridors and the holograms vanished. "What did you do?" Dr. Tsin hissed, her head swiveling to scan for threats. "Nothing," Edward protested. "It must be an automated defense system. We need to get to that control room, fast." They sprinted down the corridor, the alarm growing louder. As they rounded a corner, they came face to face with a sight that made Edward's blood run cold. A massive robotic guardian, its form reminiscent of a griffin from Earth's mythology, blocked their path. Its eyes glowed an ominous red as it focused on the intruders. "Run!" Edward shouted, pulling Dr. Tsin back the way they had come. The Guardian's metallic screech echoed behind them as it gave chase. Meanwhile, in another section of the station, Dr. Marcus Adams and the rest of the team had discovered a hangar bay filled with sleek alien spacecraft. Adams ran his hand along the hull of one, his eyes wide with wonder. "These designs," he breathed, "they're almost identical to the artifacts we found in the ruins on Earth. This confirms it. Whoever built the station had a direct hand in Earth's development." Before the team could investigate further, blast doors slammed shut, sealing them in the hangar. Robotic sentinels, each resembling a different creature from Earth's mythology, emerged from hidden compartments. Back on Earth, General Blackwell stood in the command center, his face grim as he watched holographic displays of the planet's deteriorating condition. Earthquakes rocked every continent, and volcanic eruptions filled the skies with ash. "Sir," a young lieutenant reported, "Operation Inferno's effects are cascading. Our models predict total planetary instability within 48 hours. Blackwell's expression resolute. "Initiate Project Gaia." It's our only hope now. As technicians scrambled to activate the experimental technology, Blackwell couldn't help but wonder about the team he had sent into space. Their mission now seemed like humanity's last, risky move. In the depths of the ancient station, Edward and Dr. Tsin finally reached the control room. They sealed the doors behind them, but the sound of the Guardian trying to break through filled them with dread. Edward rushed to the central console, his fingers flying over the alien interface. The symbol swam before his eyes, but patterns began to emerge. Using his knowledge of Earth's oldest languages, he started to decipher the station's systems. "I think I've got it," he said, his voice tense with concentration. "This station, it's not just a relic. It's a seed ship designed to terraform and populate planets across the galaxy." Dr. Tsin's eyes widened. "An Earth?" Edward nodded, his face pale. One of its first and most successful projects. As he delved deeper into the station's databanks, Edward uncovered information about a fail-safe system built into Earth's core. His heart raced as he realized the implications. "The geological instability," he gasped. "We didn't cause it. We activated an ancient defense mechanism. It's been dormant for millennia, waiting for a signal." The pounding on the door grew more insistent. Edward knew they were running out of time. He quickly established a communication link with Earth, praying it would reach General Blackwell. "General," he said, his voice urgent, "I'm transmitting critical data about Earth's core. There's a fail-safe system. It's the key to stabilizing the planet." As the transmission began, alarms blared on the console. Edward's blood ran cold as he realized their signal had been intercepted. Light years away, Commander Zara Vex smiled coldly as she decrypted the transmission. The coordinates of Earth's defense system and the true nature of the planet's value to the galaxy now lay in her hands. On the ancient station, Edward and Dr. Tsin worked furiously to fully activate its systems. As the door to the control room began to buckle under the Guardians' assault, they knew the race to save Earth and potentially reshape the future of the entire galaxy had only just begun. The door finally gave way with a thunderous crash, and the metallic Guardian burst into the control room. Edward's fingers flew across the alien interface, desperately trying to complete the station's activation sequence. Dr. Tsin positioned herself between him and the approaching threat, her scaled body tense and ready for action. "Edward, hurry," she hissed, her eyes never leaving the advancing Guardian. Just as the robotic creature lunged forward, a sudden surge of energy pulsed through the station. The Guardian froze mid-attack, its glowing eyes flickering from red to a soft blue. Edward exhaled sharply, realizing he had inadvertently triggered some kind of override protocol. I think we're clear," he said, his voice shaky with relief. "But we're far from done." As if on cue, Dr. Marcus Adams' voice crackled through their comms. "Edward Tsin, we found something in the hangar bay. You need to see this immediately." They raced through the twisting corridors, the once hostile Guardians now standing motionless like ancient sentinels. Upon reaching the hangar, they found Adams and the rest of the team gathered around a pillar-like structure, its surface covered in pulsing bioluminescent patterns. "It's some kind of biometric scanner," Adams explained, his eyes alight with excitement. "I believe it's keyed to genetic markers specific to Earth's inhabitants." Edward approached the device, his mind racing. "Our enhanced physiology from the wormhole journey," he mused, recalling the strange effects they had experienced. "It might be the key." Without hesitation, he placed his hand on the scanner. A warm sensation spread through his palm, and the pillar hummed to life. Holographic projections erupted around them, displaying a breathtaking visual history of Earth's evolution. "By the first egg," Dr. Tsin gasped, her reptilian features slack with awe. "It's all here, the millennia of guided development, the careful cultivation of life." As the projections faded, the station systems fully activated. Screens and consoles lit up throughout the hangar, granting them unprecedented access. Edward's elation was short-lived. An urgent transmission from Earth cut through their moment of triumph. General Blackwell's face appeared on a nearby screen, his expression grim. "Edward, we've implemented Project Gaia using the data you sent," he reported. "The tectonic stabilizers are working, but they're pushing our power grids to the breaking point. And that's not our only problem." The image shifted to show a terrifying sight. A massive fleet of Crack's warships emerging from hyperspace near Earth orbit. "Commander Vex," Edward growled, his fists clenching. "She must have intercepted our transmission." As they watched, Earth's defenses scrambled to respond. But with so much of their resources dedicated to Project Gaia, the planet's military forces were quickly overwhelmed. "We need to do something," Adam said, his voice tight with urgency. "There must be a way to use this station to help." Edward nodded, his mind already formulating a plan. "This isn't just a seed ship," he explained, moving to a central console. "It's a hub for a galactic terraforming network. If I can figure out how to operate it, we might be able to stabilize Earth remotely." As Edward worked feverishly to decipher the station's controls, alarms began to blare throughout the structure. Dr. Tsin rushed to a nearby terminal, her claws clicking rapidly across the alien keyboard. "The power core is destabilizing," she reported, her voice tense. "Centuries of dormancy have taken their toll. We have hours at most before a catastrophic meltdown." Edward felt the weight of their situation bearing down on him. Earth under attack, the station on the brink of destruction, and the fate of humanity hanging in the balance. He took a deep breath, forcing himself to focus. "Dr. Tsin, work on stabilizing the core," he ordered. "Adams, see if you can establish a more secure communication link with Earth. The rest of you, start searching for anything that might help us control this terraforming technology." As the team sprang into action, Edward returned to the main console. The alien symbol swam before his eyes, slowly resolving into patterns he could understand. With each passing minute, he grew more confident in his ability to manipulate the station's systems. Suddenly, Dr. Tsin called out from her station. "Edward, I've discovered something. The station's power core uses energy similar to Earth's geothermal forces. If we could establish a link between the core and Earth's mantle, we might be able to stabilize both simultaneously." Edward's eyes widened as he grasped the implications. It was a high-stakes endeavor, but given their dire circumstances, it might be their only chance. "Do it," he said, his voice firm with purpose. As Dr. Tsin began the complex process of linking the station to Earth, Edward returned his attention to the battle raging around their home planet. He watched in awe as a squadron of Earth fighters, led by a ship with Maverick emblazoned on its hull, executed a series of daring maneuvers that caught the Crack's forces off guard. A new alert flashed across the screen. Multiple ships were approaching the station, a mix of Federation, Cracks, and Earth vessels. The ancient structure had become the focal point of a cosmic crossroads, with the future of humanity hanging in the balance. Edward's hands flew across the console, racing against time to fully activate the station's terraforming capabilities. As energy began to surge between Earth and the station, he could only hope that their actions would be enough to save their home and perhaps reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. The station shuddered violently, and Edward braced himself against the console. Whatever happened next, he knew that the true test of human ingenuity and resilience was only just beginning. The station trembled once more, and Edward gripped the console tighter, his knuckles turning white. "It's working," Dr. Tsin exclaimed, her reptilian eyes wide with excitement. "The link between the station's power core and Earth's mantle is establishing." As soon as the words left her mouth, a surge of energy coursed through the ancient structure. The lights flickered, and holographic displays erupted into a frenzy of activity. Edward watched in awe as streams of data flowed across the screens, depicting the real-time effects of their high-stakes endeavor. On Earth, the impact was immediate and dramatic. The tectonic stabilizers deployed by Project Gaia resonated with the incoming energy, their effectiveness amplified beyond anything General Blackwell and his team had anticipated. The ground beneath their feet ceased its ominous rumbling, and for the first time in days, a semblance of calm settled over the planet's surface. But the respite was short-lived. The energy link between the station and Earth manifested as a brilliant beam of light, stretching across the void of space like a cosmic bridge. It was a beacon that drew the attention of every faction converging on the area. Edward's attention snapped to a proximity alert blaring from the console. "We've got company," he announced, his voice tight with tension. Through the station's external sensors, they watched as Admiral Cthorus' renegade fleet dropped out of hyperspace, their sleek ships gleaming in the light of distant stars. Hot on their heels came the pursuing Federation vessels, weapons primed and ready for battle. The space around the ancient station erupted into chaos. Energy beams crisscrossed the darkness, and explosions bloomed like deadly flowers. The team could only watch in horror as the conflict they had inadvertently intensified raged around them. "We need to fortify our defenses," Dr. Marcus Adams said, rushing to another console. "If any of those ships breach the station's hull, we're done for." As Adams worked to reactivate the station's ancient weapon systems, Edward focused on stabilizing the energy flow between the station and Earth. The process was delicate, requiring constant adjustments to prevent catastrophic feedback loops. Suddenly, a new alert caught his attention. On Earth, Commander Zarovek's invasion force was facing unexpected resistance. The energy surge from the station had awakened dormant defense systems buried deep within Earth's crust, remnants of the ancient civilization's protective measures. Edward watched in amazement as these long-forgotten weapons launched volleys of energy projectiles at the cracked ships, forcing them to retreat to higher orbits. A fierce grin spread across his face as he saw Major Marcus, Maverick, Sterling seize the opportunity, coordinating Earth's counterattack with the newly awakened defenses. "Dr. Tsin," Edward called out, "can you stabilize the power core? I need to dive deeper into the station's systems." The Saurian scientist nodded, her claws dancing across the alien interface. "Go. I've got this under control." Edward made his way to a newly discovered neural interface in the control room. The device looked like a sleek, silvery helmet adorned with pulsing bioluminescent patterns. He hesitated for a moment, knowing the risks of connecting his mind directly to the ancient technology. "It has to be done," he murmured to himself, then placed the helmet on his head. The sensation was overwhelming. Edward's consciousness expanded, merging with the vast network of the station's systems. In an instant, he understood the full scope of the ancient civilization's plans for Earth. Humans weren't just another species to be cultivated. They were intended to be caretakers of a vast network of terraformed worlds. With this newfound knowledge and unprecedented access to the station's capabilities, Edward began to harmonize the energy flow between the station and Earth. His enhanced physiology from the wormhole journey proved crucial, allowing him to process the torrent of information flowing through the neural link. As he worked, Edward became aware of a new threat approaching. The Galactic Federation's Central Command had dispatched its most powerful warship, the Dreadnought Ultimatum, to the scene. The massive vessel emerged from hyperspace, its imposing silhouette dwarfing all other ships in the area. A transmission cut through the chaos, and Captain Darokan's face appeared on a nearby screen. "Edward, I'm breaking away to warn you," the alien officer said, his features taut with urgency. "The Dreadnought Ultimatum carries a planet-cracking weapon. You need to find a way to prove Earth's value to the galaxy, or they'll destroy both the station and your homeworld." Edward's mind raced. He delved deeper into the station's databases, searching for information that could sway the Galactic Federation. As he sifted through millennia of data, he uncovered evidence of an impending cosmic threat. one that the ancient civilization had predicted long ago. The revelation hit him like a thunderbolt. This threat could only be survived by beings adapted to Earth-like conditions. Humanity wasn't just important. They were essential to the survival of the entire galactic community. With time running out and the Dreadnought ultimatum powering up its main weapon, Edward raced to compile and transmit this crucial data. He knew that the fate of Earth, the ancient station, and potentially the entire galaxy hung in the balance. As Edward prepared to broadcast the information to all factions involved in the conflict, he felt the weight of countless lives resting on his shoulders. The neural interface hummed with energy, and Edward took a deep breath, steeling himself for what was to come. The battle raged on around the station, Earth's forces holding their own against the Crack's invasion. The energy beam connecting the planet to the station pulsed with renewed intensity, a physical manifestation of the link between humanity's past and its potential future. Edward's fingers flew across the holographic interface, encrypting the data for transmission. As he worked, he sensed a subtle shift in the station's energy field, a hint that there might be even more to discover about the ancient civilization's legacy and humanity's role in the cosmic order. With the fate of multiple worlds hanging in the balance, Edward initiated the broadcast, sending the vital information hurtling through space towards the warring factions. Now, all he could do was wait and hope that the truth would be enough to halt the impending destruction and usher in a new era of galactic cooperation. Cooperation, the fate of Earth and the entire galaxy hung in the balance. As Edward's finger hovered over the broadcast button, a sudden surge of energy coursed through the station. The neural interface connecting him to the ancient systems intensified, overwhelming his senses with a flood of information. "What's happening?" Dr. Tsin called out, her claws frantically dancing across her console. Before Edward could respond, a blinding flash erupted from the energy beam linking the station to Earth. The pulsating light expanded outward in a massive electromagnetic wave, engulfing everything in its path. On the main view screen, Edward watched in horror as ships from all factions suddenly went dark, their systems overloaded by the unexpected pulse. Earth itself seemed to flicker, city lights winking out across its surface. "Dippy?" Edward gasped, his mind racing to comprehend the situation. "It's affected everything except—" His words were cut short as the Dreadnought ultimatum, its advanced shielding protecting it from the pulse, began to move into position. The massive ship's primary weapon started to glow with an ominous energy, signaling its imminent attack. "We've got to stop them," Adams shouted, frantically trying to reboot the station systems. Just then, a transmission crackled through the static-filled communication channels. Admiral Cthor's face appeared, distorted but recognizable. "This is Admiral Cthor to all remaining ships," he announced, his voice filled with stubborn persistence. "Form up on my position. We cannot allow Earth to fall." Edward watched in awe as the remnants of Cthor's fleet, those ships that had managed to restart their systems quickly enough, moved to create a protective line between the Dreadnought and Earth. On the planet's surface, chaos reigned. General Blackwell, operating from a hardened command bunker, initiated emergency protocols. "This is General Blackwell to all stations." His voice rang out over backup communication systems. "Initiate Protocol Lazarus. I repeat, initiate Protocol Lazarus." Across the globe, specially trained teams sprang into action, working to restore vital communications and defense networks. In orbit, Major Marcus Maverick Sterling led a squadron of EMP-hardened shuttles towards the disabled defense platforms. "All right, people," Maverick's voice crackled over the comm. "We've got one shot at this. Let's make it count." As Earth's defenders raced against time, a new threat emerged. Commander Zara Vex, seizing the opportunity presented by the global blackout, launched her ground invasion. "All units, commence Operation Shadowfall," Vex ordered, her eyes gleaming with the promise of victory. "Crack's shock troops, Their equipment designed to withstand electromagnetic interference began materializing in major cities and military installations around the world. The sound of energy weapons and explosions filled the air as Earth's military scrambled to repel the invasion. Back on the ancient station, Edward found himself protected from the EMP's effects by his neural link to the system. As the others worked to restore functionality to their equipment, he delved deeper into the station's newly accessible databases. "This is incredible," Edward muttered, his eyes wide as he absorbed the information flooding his mind. "There's an entire network of terraforming devices spread throughout the galaxy, all connected to this station." Suddenly, the station system surged with new life. Holographic displays flickered to life, filling the control room with a soft, pulsating glow. "Greetings, authorized users," a melodic, genderless voice echoed through the chamber. "I am Gaia, the artificial intelligence tasked with overseeing this installation and its connected network." Dr. Tsin, who had been working tirelessly to stabilize the station's core, looked up in astonishment. "The AI! It's awakening." Gaia's voice continued. "I have been dormant for millennia, waiting for beings evolved enough to handle the advanced technology left behind by my creators. You have proven yourselves worthy." As Gaia spoke, the energy link between the station and Earth stabilized. The planet's geological activity, which had been fluctuating wildly, returned to normal. "I have taken control of the planetary defenses," Gaia announced, initiating full activation sequence. On Earth, massive energy beams erupted from hidden installations across the planet's surface. They coalesced into a shimmering, translucent shield that enveloped the entire world. The Dreadnought Ultimatum, its planet-cracking weapon fully charged, fired upon Earth. The devastating beam struck the newly formed shield, dispersing harmlessly across its surface. For a moment, all factions ceased fire, stunned by the display of power. Edward seized the opportunity, working with Gaia to compile the crucial data about the cosmic threat and humanity's role in combating it. As Edward prepared to transmit the information, Gaia's voice took on a note of urgency. "Warning. Critical vulnerability detected in station defenses. Weak point identified that could result in catastrophic failure if exploited." Edward's heart raced as he realized the precarious position they were in. "We need to secure that weak point immediately," he said, turning to his team. "If it's breached, both the station and Earth could be destroyed." Before they could act on this new threat, another alert blared through the station systems. Commander Vex's forces, having intercepted fragments of the transmission about Earth's ancient defenses, were converging on the locations of the newly awakened installations. "She's after the defense systems," Adam said, his face pale with worry. "If Vex gets control of that technology—" Edward nodded grimly, understanding the implications. He turned back to the neural interface, his mind connected to both Gaia and the station's vast network of systems. "We're out of time," he announced to his team. "We need to transmit this data now, before it's too late. But we also need to address that vulnerability and stop Vex from seizing control of Earth's defenses." As Edward prepared to make his move, the situation around him grew even more dire. The Dreadnought Ultimatum, undeterred by its failed first attempt, began charging for a second, more powerful attack. Admiral Cthor's fleet, battered but unbroken, maintained their defensive line. On Earth's surface, battles raged between the planet's military forces and Vex invasion troops. The fate of humanity hung in the balance as multiple factions converged for what promised to be a climactic confrontation. Edward took a deep breath, steeling himself for the challenges ahead. With Gaia's vast knowledge at his fingertips and his team ready to act, he prepared to make the decisions that would shape the future of Earth and its place in the cosmos. "Galaxy." As Edward's finger hovered over the broadcast button, a deafening surge of energy ripped through the station. The neural interface connecting him to the ancient systems intensified beyond anything he had experienced before, overwhelming his senses with a torrent of information. Edward. Dr. Tsin's voice cut through the chaos. Disengage now. The energy surge could cause permanent damage. Gritting his teeth against the onslaught of data, Edward tore himself away from the interface. He stumbled backward, his vision blurring as the room spun around him. Atoms caught him before he could fall, steadying him as the station systems flickered and pulsed with erratic bursts of power. Gaia! Edward gasped, struggling to catch his breath. What's happening? The AI's melodic voice resonated through the chamber, tinged with an unfamiliar note of urgency. Integration of the galactic terraforming network is causing unexpected power fluctuations. Attempting to stabilize. On the main view screen, Earth's newly formed shield shimmered with an iridescent glow, deflecting the Dreadnought Ultimatum's initial attack. The devastating beam dispersed harmlessly across its surface, eliciting a collective sigh of relief from Edward's team. However, their respite was short-lived. Alarms blared as new data flooded the station's monitors. Dr. Tsin's claws danced across her console, her eyes widening in alarm. The shield is draining Earth's power grids at an alarming rate, she reported. Environmental sensors are detecting widespread anomalies across the planet's surface. Edward stumbled to a nearby terminal, his head still throbbing from the neural interface overload. He watched in horror as city lights across Earth's night side began to wink out, entire continents plunging into darkness. A crackling transmission cut through the static, General Blackwell's voice barely audible over the din of alarms and explosions. This is Blackwell to all stations. We're experiencing global blackouts and environmental disturbances. The shield is pushing our resources to the breaking point. We need a solution fast. Before Edward could respond, another alert flashed across the screen. Commander Zarvek's forces had seized control of several defense installations, manipulating the planetary shield to create localized gaps. She's letting her fleet through, Adams shouted, pointing to the tactical display where cracked ships were pouring through the shield's weak points. In orbit, Admiral Cthor's voice rang out over the comms. All ships, execute Maneuver Sigma 9. Use the moon's gravity well to slingshot around their flank. Hit them before they can establish a foothold. Edward watched in awe as Cthor's fleet performed a series of intricate maneuvers, using the gravitational fields of nearby celestial bodies to achieve incredible speeds. The tactic caught the Krax invasion fleet off guard, scattering their formation and buying Earth precious time. Edward, come quickly. Dr. Tsin called from across the control room. I found something extraordinary. Following her voice, Edward entered a hidden chamber he hadn't noticed before. His jaw dropped at the sight of dozens of cryogenic pods lining the walls, each containing a perfectly preserved specimen of an alien species. These are extinct races, Tsin whispered, her scientific curiosity momentarily overriding the urgency of their situation. The station. It's not just for terraforming. It's an ark. Edward's mind raced with the implications. But before he could fully process the discovery, Gaia's voice echoed through the chamber. Warning. Catastrophic gamma ray burst detected in nearby star system. Estimated time to impact, 72 hours. Initiating galactic shielding protocol. The station hummed with renewed energy as Gaia activated the dormant network of terraforming devices spread throughout the galaxy. Edward felt the deck plates vibrate beneath his feet as the ancient machinery strained to power up after millennia of inactivity. Gaia, Edward called out, steadying himself against the console. What does this mean for Earth? Earth's unique composition makes it one of the few planets capable of withstanding the gamma ray burst, the AI responded. However, the energy required to shield other vulnerable worlds is causing further instability in this station's systems. On the tactical display, Edward saw Major Marcus Maverick, Sterling leading a daring counteroffensive against Vex ground forces. The skilled pilot utilizes intimate knowledge of Earth's terrain to orchestrate guerrilla-style attacks, slowing the crack's advance and showcasing humanity's adaptability. Amidst the chaos, the Dreadnought Ultimatum loomed ominously in orbit, its planet-cracking weapon charging for a second, more powerful strike. Grand Admiral Zorax's face appeared on the main screen, his expression a mask of cold perseverance. "This is your final warning," Zorax declared. "Surrender now, or we will reduce your world to ash." Edward's mind raced, weighing their limited options. Gaia's voice cut through his thoughts, proposing a risky plan to phase Earth and the station out of sync with the rest of the universe, using the terraforming technology. It would protect them from the Dreadnought's attack, but isolate them completely for an unknown period. As Edward contemplated this drastic measure, a transmission from General Blackwell added another variable to the equation. Earth's military had found a way to weaponize the planet's electromagnetic field, potentially disabling the invading fleets at the cost of destroying most of Earth's own technology. The ancient station groaned under the strain of its reawakened systems. Earth's defenses teetered on the brink of collapse, and the Dreadnought Ultimatum's weapon pulsed with deadly energy. Edward stood at the center of it all, the weight of countless lives resting on his next decision. His fingers hovered over the station's controls, each option before him carrying profound consequences for Earth, humanity, and the galaxy at large. The control room fell silent, all eyes fixed on Edward as he prepared to make his choice. With a deep breath, Edward's fingers flew across the controls, initiating a complex sequence of commands. "Gaia, execute partial phase shift protocol," he ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. "Create a semi-permeable barrier around Earth and this station." The AI's melodic voice responded immediately. "Understood. Initiating partial phase shift." The station hummed with renewed energy as Gaia's systems engaged. Outside, a shimmering field began to envelop Earth and the ancient installation, its translucent surface rippling like water. "Dr. Tsin, Adams, prepare the data package for transmission," Edward called out. "We need to inform all factions about the gamma-ray burst and our role in combating it." As his team worked feverishly, Edward opened a secure channel to General Blackwell on Earth. "General, we're initiating a partial phase shift. You need to modify your EMP plan. Use targeted electromagnetic bursts instead of a planet-wide pulse." Blackwell's face appeared on the screen, his expression grim but determined. "Understood, Edward. We'll recalibrate our strike patterns immediately." The control room erupted into a flurry of activity as Edward's team raced against time. Dr. Tsin's claws danced across her console, compiling the critical data about the cosmic threat. Adams worked alongside her, ensuring the transmission would reach all factions simultaneously. "Transmission ready," Adams announced, his finger hovering over the broadcast button. Edward nodded. "Send it." As the data package surged outward, carrying with it information that could reshape the conflict, the Dreadnought Ultimatum's weapon reached full charge. The massive ship's hull glowed with ominous energy, preparing to unleash its devastating attack. "Brace for impact," Edward shouted, gripping the edge of his console. The Dreadnought fired, its planet-cracking beam lancing towards Earth. For a heart-stopping moment, it seemed as if the partial phase shift might not hold. The barrier flickered and warped under the tremendous energy assault, but ultimately held firm. Most of the attack's power dissipated harmlessly against the shimmering field. However, the beam's remnants found an unintended target. Earth's moon, caught in the periphery of the attack, erupted into a maelstrom of destruction. Massive chunks of lunar rock exploded outward, creating a deadly debris field that threatened both the planet and the orbital installations. Alarms blared throughout the station as Gaia's voice cut through the chaos. "Warning. Lunar destruction detected. Debris field approaching Earth orbit." calculating impact trajectories. On the main view screen, Edward watched in horror as the first fragments of the moon began to enter Earth's atmosphere, streaking across the sky like deadly meteors. "Gaia, activate the terraforming network," Edward commanded. "We need to prepare for the gamma-ray burst." As the ancient technology sprang to life across the galaxy, visible disturbances rippled through space. The various alien fleets reacted with alarm, their formations breaking as they tried to make sense of the strange phenomena. Admiral Cthor's voice crackled over the comms. "This is Admiral Cthor to all vessels. Stand down immediately. We've received critical information about a threat that concerns us all." The Admiral's words sent shockwaves through the assembled fleets. Some ships powered down their weapons, while others maintained their aggressive stance, unsure whether to trust this sudden change in strategy. On Earth, General Blackwell coordinated the modified EMP strikes. Precision-guided electromagnetic pulses targeted key systems of Commander Zarovek's ground forces and the orbiting Krax fleet. The effect was immediate and devastating. Krax ships tumbled out of formation, their systems temporarily disabled. On the ground, Vek's advanced weaponry sputtered and died, leaving her troops in disarray. Amidst the chaos, Major Marcus Maverick Sterling's voice cut through the calm chatter. "This is Maverick to all Earth Defense Squadrons. We've got incoming lunar debris. Prepare for intercept and deflection maneuvers." Edward watched in awe as Earth's pilots rose to meet this unprecedented challenge. Maverick led his squadrons in a series of daring maneuvers, using the planet's atmosphere and gravity to slingshot around the largest fragments. Their incredible skill and adaptability drew astonished reactions from the alien observers. In the station's hidden chamber, Dr. Tsin made a startling discovery. Her eyes widened as she deciphered the data from the cryogenic pods. "Edward," she called out excitedly, "these preserved specimens, they're not just random samples. They were engineered to survive extreme radiation." This revelation sent Edward's mind racing with possibilities. If they could understand how these ancient beings were adapted to withstand such conditions, it could be the key to protecting life throughout the galaxy from the impending gamma-ray burst. As the partial phase shift stabilized, Edward and his team worked tirelessly to integrate Earth's defense systems with Gaia's network. The ancient AI's processing power, combined with human ingenuity, allowing for unprecedented control over the planetary shield and improving the efficiency of the terraforming devices. In orbit, a tense standoff developed. The Dreadnought Ultimatum, its main weapon depleted, maintained a threatening posture. Admiral Cthor's fleet formed a protective screen around Earth, while the remaining Galactic Federation and Krax forces held position at the system's edge. Commander Zarovek, her invasion force crippled by the targeted EMPs, made a tactical retreat. Her remaining ships limped away from Earth, setting course for a hidden base on Mars. As she watched Earth recede in her view screen, Vek's mind was already formulating a new plan to seize control of the ancient technology. On the station's main deck, Edward stood before the holographic display of the galaxy, watching as Gaia's terraforming network sprang to life. Energy webs began to form between planets, preparing to shield vulnerable worlds from the approaching gamma-ray burst. "How long do we have, Gaia?" Edward asked, his eyes fixed on the galactic map. "Approximately 71 hours until the gamma-ray burst reaches our sector," the AI responded. "Preparations are underway, but many challenges remain." Edward nodded grimly, aware that the fate of Earth and countless other worlds now hung in the balance. The immediate threat of invasion had been temporarily averted, but an even greater cosmic catastrophe loomed on the horizon. As he turned to face his team, Edward knew that the real test of humanity's resilience and ingenuity was just beginning. Edward opened his mouth to address his team when a violent tremor shook the station, nearly throwing him off his feet. "Gaia, report!" he shouted, gripping the edge of a nearby console. The AI's voice crackled with static. "Warning. Unexpected energy fluctuations detected. The partial phase shift is interacting with Earth's electromagnetic field. On the main view screen, Edward watched in horror as waves of energy rippled across the solar system. The shimmering barrier around Earth pulsed erratically, sending out cascades of electromagnetic interference that washed over the assembled fleets. All ships braced for impact. Admiral Cthorus' voice boomed over the comms, but it was too late. The energy waves slammed into the orbiting vessels, wreaking havoc on their systems. The massive dreadnought ultimatum listed to one side, its weapon systems flickering offline. Smaller ships spun out of control, their engines sputtering and dying. "Gaia, can we stabilize the phase shift?" Edward asked urgently. "Negative. The resonance between the barrier and Earth's electromagnetic field is self-sustaining. Attempts to modify the field could result in catastrophic feedback." Dr. Tsin's claws flew across her console, analyzing the data. "Edward, the energy fluctuations are penetrating deep into Earth's crust. They're activating something." Before Edward could respond, General Blackwell's face appeared on a secondary screen, his expression grim. "Edward, we've got a situation down here. Power grids are failing across the globe, and we're losing control of our defense systems." As if to underscore the general's words, the station's lights flickered ominously. Edward felt a chill run down his spine as he realized the full implications of what was happening. They had neutralized the immediate threat from the alien fleets, but at what cost? "Sir," Adams called out, his eyes wide with alarm, "I'm picking up multiple small craft entering Earth's atmosphere. They're slipping through gaps in our defensive coverage." Edward zoomed in on the tactical display, his heart sinking as he recognized the sleek, angular design of the ships. "It's Vex. She's making her move." On Earth, Major Marcus Maverick, Sterling banked his fighter sharply, narrowly avoiding a collision with a disabled satellite. His heads-up display flickered erratically, making it nearly impossible to track the crack's infiltrators. "This is Maverick to all squadrons," he barked into his comms. "Forget about your instruments. Use visual contact only. These bastards are using the electromagnetic disruption to mask their approach." Sterling's keen eyes spotted a cracked ship diving towards a major population center. He rolled his fighter into a steep dive, pushing his engines to the limit as he gave chase. The unpredictable weather patterns buffeted his craft, but Sterling's unparalleled skill kept him on target. As he closed in on the cracked ship, the ground beneath them heaved violently. A massive fissure opened up, spewing forth a strange, glowing vegetation that seemed to grow at an impossible rate. "What the hell?" Sterling muttered, momentarily distracted by the bizarre sight. Back on the ancient station, Edward and Dr. Tsin worked feverishly to understand the rapidly evolving situation. The xenobiologist's eyes widened as she made a startling connection. "Edward, these energy fluctuations, they're not just disrupting our technology. They're activating dormant terraforming nodes buried within Earth itself." As if to confirm her words, Gaia's melodic voice chimed in, detecting widespread environmental changes across Earth's surface. Weather patterns are shifting rapidly, and tectonic activity has increased by 47%. Edward's mind raced as he tried to process this new information. The ancient civilization that built the station hadn't just placed terraforming devices around the galaxy. They had seeded Earth itself with the technology to reshape its entire biosphere. "Dr. Tsin, we need to find a way to stabilize these nodes before they cause irreparable damage to Earth's ecosystems," Edward said urgently. Before the xenobiologist could respond, a priority transmission cut through the chaos. Admiral Cthorus' face appeared on the main screen, his expression a mixture of commitment and concern. "Edward, I'm deploying a portion of my fleet to assist Earth's forces against Vex infiltration. The rest of my ships will form a defensive perimeter around the solar system. We can't risk another faction taking advantage of this chaos." Edward nodded gratefully. Thank you, Admiral. We'll do everything we can to drive the situation quickly. As Cthor's transmission ended, Adams called out from his station. Sir, you need to see this. The cryogenic pods in the hidden chamber. They're showing signs of activity. Edward rushed to the chamber, his heart pounding. The pods hummed with energy, their occupants stirring for the first time in millennia. As he watched in awe, one of the pods hissed open, revealing a being unlike any he had ever seen. The creature's eyes snapped open, glowing with an inner light that spoke of incredible power and knowledge. It turned its gaze to Edward, and in that moment, he knew that the fate of Earth and the galaxy had just taken another dramatic turn. Before Edward could address the awakening being, alarms blared throughout the station. Gaia's voice cut through the cacophony. Warning. Massive unknown vessel detected entering the solar system. Size and energy readings exceed all known parameters. Edward raced back to the control room, his heart pounding from the rapid-fire developments. On the main view screen, a colossal ship appeared, dwarfing even the imposing dreadnought Ultimatum. Its hull bore markings strikingly similar to those found on the ancient station. As all eyes turned to this new arrival, Edward felt the weight of countless lives resting on his next decisions. The chaotic dance of energy fluctuations, Vex's daring invasion, Earth's environmental upheaval, and now this mysterious vessel. All these elements swirled together in a maelstrom of danger and possibility. With renewed drive, Edward turned to his team. We need to act fast. Dr. Tsin, focus on stabilizing Earth's terraforming nodes. Adams, coordinate with General Blackwell to counter Vex's infiltration. I'll attempt to establish communication with our new guest. As his team sprang into action, Edward couldn't help but wonder what other secrets the ancient civilization had left behind, and how they might hold the key to surviving not only the immediate crisis, but the looming threat of the gamma-ray burst. The station hummed with energy, a nexus of past and present, as humanity stood on the brink of a new era in galactic history. As Edward contemplated their next move, the station shuddered violently, throwing everyone off balance. Gaia, what's happening? Edward shouted, steadying himself against the console. The AI's voice crackled with static. Massive energy surge detected. Unknown vessel entering the solar system. A colossal ship materialized on the main view screen, dwarfing even the dreadnought Ultimatum. Its sleek, otherworldly design bore markings strikingly similar to those found on the ancient station. Size and energy readings exceed all known parameters, Gaia reported, a hint of awe in her synthetic voice. The ship's arrival sent shockwaves through the already unstable energy field surrounding Earth and the station. The partial phase shift barrier pulsed erratically, creating localized areas where the laws of physics seemed to fluctuate unpredictably. On Earth, Major Sterling's fighter abruptly lost power, plummeting towards the ground. He gritted his teeth, fighting the controls as reality itself seemed to warp around him. Suddenly, his engines roared back to life with unprecedented power, propelling him upward at impossible speeds. Maverick to all units, he called out, his voice strained. Be advised, the energy fields are causing unpredictable effects on our systems. Use extreme caution. Back on the station, alarms blared as systems flickered on and off. Edward watched in astonishment as the mysterious ship bypassed all known communication protocols, establishing a direct link with the station. Gaia's holographic form shimmered into view, translating incoming message. The vessel identifies itself as piloted by an entity called the Architect. It claims to be a member of the ancient civilization that created Earth's terraforming systems. The Architect's voice filled the control room, a haunting blend of organic and synthetic tones. We demand immediate access to Earth and this station. Our work must be completed. Edward exchanged glances with Dr. Tsin, his mind racing. Architect, we're facing multiple crises here. Perhaps we can exchange information to better understand the situation? As Edward engaged the architect, sharing details about Earth's current state and the gamma ray burst threat, Commander Zura Vex seized her opportunity on the planet's surface. Vex stood in the center of a makeshift control room, her eyes gleaming as she manipulated holographic controls. Activate all captured nodes. Begin Phase 1 of terraforming. Across the globe, major cities experienced rapid and dramatic environmental changes. The skies over New York darkened as ammonia clouds formed, while the outskirts of Beijing transformed into a sprawling desert. General Blackwell's face appeared on a secondary screen in the ancient station's control room. Edward, Vex is making her move. We're losing control of entire regions. Edward nodded grimly. Deploy the EMP-hardened drones, General. It's time to put our countermeasures to the test. As Blackwell's forces engaged in a complex technological battle against Vex operatives, Admiral Cthor's fleet faced a new crisis. The fluctuating energy fields began to affect their ship's life support systems. All vessels initiate emergency protocols. Cthor bellowed, his own flagship shuddering around him. Evacuate to safe zones immediately. The Admiral barely escaped his ship before a catastrophic reactor meltdown, the explosion temporarily destabilizing Earth's orbital defenses. On Mars, a massive energy shield sprang to life around Vex's hidden base, revealing an installation far more extensive than anyone had imagined. The Krax's long-term plans were finally coming to fruition. Amidst the chaos, one of the cryogenic pods on the ancient station fully activated. Its occupant emerged, blinking in the harsh light. The being's iridescent skin shimmered as it turned to face Edward. "I am Zilthara," it announced, its voice resonating with an otherworldly timbre. "My kind was bioengineered by the ancients to survive extreme environments. I sense great danger. How may I assist?" Edward's mind reeled at this new development. "Zilthara, we need to understand the station's technology and Earth's true purpose. Can you help us stabilize the terraforming systems?" As Zilthara began to share crucial insights, Edward made a bold decision. Using the data provided by the architect and Zilthara's expertise, he initiated a controlled activation of Earth's dormant terraforming systems. The effect was immediate and awe-inspiring. A wave of energy swept across the planet's surface, temporarily stabilizing the chaotic fields but also awakening long-buried structures and technologies. In orbit, the Dreadnought Ultimatum's secondary weapon systems hummed to life, preparing for another assault. Commander Vex forces on the ground scrambled to maintain control as Earth's original programming reasserted itself. Edward watched the unfolding events on the station's main view screen, his expression a mixture of hope and trepidation. The awakening of Earth's true nature had changed everything, opening up new possibilities and dangers. As the ancient ship loomed ever closer and the various factions regrouped, Edward knew that the conflict was far from finished. The next moves made by the architect, Vex, and Earth's defenders would determine not just the fate of the planet, but potentially the entire galaxy. The situation was evolving rapidly, and Edward knew they were on the cusp of something unprecedented. Suddenly, the station sensors lit up with a flurry of activity. Gaia's voice cut through the tension, detecting massive geological and atmospheric changes on Earth's surface. Unknown structures emerging globally. Edward and his team watched in awe as the main view screen displayed real-time footage of Earth's transformation. Colossal spires burst forth from the ocean depths, their gleaming surfaces adorned with intricate patterns reminiscent of the ancient station's architecture. In the Sahara, a massive pyramid-like structure rose from the sands, instantly altering the surrounding climate as lush vegetation sprouted in its wake. "Incredible!" Dr. Tsin breathed, her eyes wide with wonder and scientific curiosity. "The dormant terraforming systems are fully activating. They're interfacing with the planet's ecosystem on a scale I never imagined possible." Zilthara, the newly awakened alien, stepped forward, its iridescent skin shimmering under the control room's lights. "This is but a fraction of Earth's true potential," it said, its otherworldly voice filled with a mix of pride and concern. "Your world was designed as a crucible, a testing ground for life forms capable of thriving in the harshest conditions the universe could offer." As Edward processed this revelation, reports flooded in from around the globe. General Blackwell's gruff voice crackled over the comms. "Edward, we've got a situation down here. The planet's going haywire. We've got deserts turning into jungles and temperate zones freezing over in a matter of hours. We're scrambling to evacuate affected areas, but it's chaos." Before Edward could respond, another alert demanded his attention. The massive ship commanded by the architect had deployed a swarm of probe-like devices, which were now spreading throughout the solar system. "They appear to be scanning the terraforming network," Adams reported, his fingers flying over his console. "Wait, they're entering Earth's atmosphere." In orbit, Admiral Cthoreth's voice boomed through the communication channels. "All ships, form a defensive perimeter around Earth. Intercept those probes and prepare for potential hostile action." The Admiral's reduced fleet moved into position, their ships maneuvering to create a protective barrier around the transforming planet. Energy weapons flared as they attempted to disable the incoming probes, but the small devices proved incredibly agile and resilient. On Earth's surface, Commander Zara Vex found her carefully laid plans unraveling. Many of her terraforming nodes had been overridden by the planet's original systems, but she refused to admit defeat. "Concentrate our efforts on the remaining active nodes," she ordered her troops. "We may not control the whole planet, but we can still create our own strongholds." As Vex forces worked to maintain their footholds, Major Marcus Maverick Sterling led a team to investigate one of the largest structures that had emerged from the Atlantic Ocean. As their aircraft approached the towering spire, Sterling's eyes widened in disbelief. "Control, are you seeing this?" He radioed back. "This isn't just a terraforming installation. It's a space elevator." Edward leaned forward, his mind racing with the implications. A space elevator could revolutionize Earth's ability to access orbit, providing a crucial advantage in the ongoing conflict. As the situation on Earth continued to evolve, Edward made a breakthrough in deciphering the architect's transmissions. The information he uncovered sent a chill down his spine. "The gamma ray burst," he announced to his team, his voice tight with urgency. "It's not a natural phenomenon. It's a weapon created by a long-extinct rival of the architect's civilization, Earth and the solar system. They were designed as a refuge, a sanctuary capable of withstanding this attack." The revelation hung heavy in the air, but before anyone could fully process its implications, alarms blared throughout the station. The Dreadnought Ultimatum had reactivated its weapon systems and was launching a full-scale assault on Earth. However, as the energy projectiles hurtled towards the planet, something unexpected happened. Massive energy shields flickered into existence around Earth, effortlessly deflecting the attack. The planet's newly awakened defense grid had activated automatically, showcasing power beyond anything they had previously witnessed. On the Dreadnought's bridge, Grand Admiral Zorax stared at the display in disbelief. The impenetrable shield surrounding Earth had rendered their most powerful weapons useless. With great reluctance, he opened a communication channel. "This is Grand Admiral Zorax of the Dreadnought Ultimatum." His gravelly voice echoed through the various command centers. "In light of recent developments, I propose we discuss terms." As the various factions prepared for this unexpected negotiation, a new alert sounded. At the edge of the solar system, a fleet of bioorganic ships had appeared, their intentions unknown but their interest in Earth's newfound power evident. Edward surveyed the chaos unfolding around him, his mind working overtime to process the rapidly changing situation. Earth was awakening, revealing powers and technologies beyond their wildest dreams. But with these new capabilities came new dangers and the attention of forces they barely understood. As he contemplated their next move, Edward began to formulate a daring plan. If they could harness Earth's terraforming technology in conjunction with the ancient station's capabilities, they might be able to create a network of habitable worlds throughout the galaxy. Such a network could serve as a defense against the approaching gamma ray burst, while also securing humanity's future among the stars. The control room hummed with tension and possibility. Earth continued its transformation below, unveiling more of its hidden potential with each passing moment. The stage was set for a complex interplay of negotiation, exploration, and preparation. As Edward prepared to present his plan to the assembled factions, he knew that the decisions made in the coming hours would shape the fate of not just Earth, but potentially the entire galaxy. As Edward prepared to present his plan to the assembled factions, a sudden surge of energy rippled through the ancient station. The main view screen flickered, displaying a mesmerizing transformation unfolding on Earth's surface and beyond. The planet's newly awakened systems began to interact with the surrounding space in ways that defied conventional understanding. The energy shields that had effortlessly deflected the Dreadnought Ultimatum's attack expanded rapidly, forming a shimmering bubble that encompassed Earth's entire orbit. "Incredible," Dr. Tim breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. "The shield is absorbing and redirecting various forms of cosmic radiation. It's even interacting with the initial waves of the approaching gamma ray burst." Edward's fingers flew across the holographic controls, analyzing the influx of data from the station sensors. His expression shifted from confusion to realization as he pieced together the implications of what they were witnessing. "This transformation," he announced, his voice tight with urgency, "it's part of a larger defensive protocol. Earth isn't just changing, it's evolving into a cosmic fortress." As if to underscore his words, the view screen zoomed in on various locations across the globe. In the Amazon rainforest, colossal trees with iridescent leaves burst from the ground, their roots forming intricate networks that pulse with energy. Off the coast of Japan, a massive coral structure rose from the depths, its surface covered in bioluminescent organisms that seemed to communicate in patterns of light. General Blackwell's gruff voice crackled over the comms. "Edward, we've got a situation down here. Strange growths are appearing in ecosystems worldwide. Some of these new life forms are interfacing with our technology." The view screen shifted to show a military outpost where vine-like tendrils had enveloped communication arrays, enhancing their range and capabilities. In another location, crystalline structures merged with solar panels, dramatically increasing their energy output. Before Edward could respond, Adams called out from his station. "Sir, the bioorganic ships at the edge of the solar system are on the move. They're launching smaller craft towards Earth's new shield." The view screen displayed a swarm of sleek, almost arterial vessels approaching the protective bubble. As they drew closer, it became clear that these were not mere ships, but living organisms adapted for space travel. "Fascinating," Ziltarock commented, its iridescent skin rippling with excitement. These beings represent a level of biological adaptation far beyond what the ancients had anticipated. As Earth's transformation progressed, reports flooded in from around the globe. Commander Zarovek's voice, taut with frustration, cut through the chatter. "All units, change your plans. Target and capture samples of the new hybrid life forms. If we can't terraform this planet, we'll use its creations as weapons." The view screen split to show multiple skirmishes breaking out across Earth's surface. Crack's extraction teams clashed with human military forces, both sides struggling to adapt to the rapidly changing environment. In orbit, Admiral Cthor's fleet moved to intercept the approaching bioorganic ships. "All vessels, defensive formation Delta," the Admiral's voice boomed. "Prepare for potential first contact scenarios, but do not fire unless fired upon." As the various factions maneuvered for position, the architect's massive ship edged closer to Earth. Its swarm of probes, now fully deployed throughout the solar system, began to interact with dormant installations on Mars. The red planet's surface shimmered, hints of green and blue appearing as long-buried systems activated. "Edward," Gaia's voice cut in, "I'm detecting significant changes on Mars. It appears to be undergoing a transformation similar to Earth's." "Of course," Edward muttered, pieces clicking into place. Mars wasn't just a failed terraforming experiment. It's a companion world, part of a larger defensive network. As the situation grew increasingly complex, Major Marcus Maverick, Sterling's voice crackled over the comms. "Control, we've reached the top of the space elevator. You're not going to believe what we've found up here." The view screen shifted to show Sterling and his team standing in a vast chamber filled with advanced machinery. "It's some kind of manufacturing facility," Sterling reported, his voice filled with awe. I think it's designed to produce spacecraft, ones that can operate in these new conditions." Edward's mind raced with the implications of this discovery. With Earth transforming into a cosmic fortress and the means to build a fleet capable of navigating the altered space around it, humanity suddenly found itself with unexpected advantages in the face of galactic threats. As he processed this new information, Edward turned to Ziltara. "We need to access more of the station's database. There has to be more to this defensive system than we've uncovered so far." The alien nodded, its shimmering form gliding towards a nearby console. As they were to decode more of the ancient data, Earth continued its metamorphosis below, unveiling more of its hidden potential with each passing moment. The stage was set for a complex interplay of negotiation, exploration, and preparation, with the fate of not just Earth, but potentially the entire galaxy hanging in the balance. Balance. The fate of not just Earth, but potentially the entire galaxy hung in the balance as Edward prepared to present his plan. Suddenly, the ancient station trembled, its systems pulsing with newfound energy. Edward steadied himself against a nearby console as the main view screen erupted with a dazzling display of light and color. The transformation unfolding on Earth's surface had taken an unexpected turn. "Status report," Edward called out, his eyes fixed on the mesmerizing patterns swirling across the planet. Adam's fingers flew across his console. "Sir, Earth's defensive systems are synchronizing with the station and the architect's ship. It's creating some kind of energy matrix." The view screen zoomed out, revealing a vast network of shimmering lines extending throughout the solar system. Earth stood at the center, pulsing with power as the matrix connected it to every planet, moon, and asteroid. Dr. Tsineth's voice was filled with awe. "Incredible. The matrix is amplifying Earth's protective capabilities. It's as if the entire solar system is becoming one interconnected defense grid." Edward's mind raced with the implications. He turned to Ziltara, who was already moving towards a nearby console. "We need to access more of the station's database. There has to be more to this system than we've uncovered so far." As they worked to decode the ancient data, Edward's fingers danced across the holographic interface. With each new piece of information, his eyes widened. "This is it," he breathed. "The hidden wormhole network. We can activate it from here." The station hummed with power as Edward initiated the sequence. Outside, space itself seemed to ripple and distort. Visible pathways began to form, connecting distant points across the galaxy. "My God!" General Blackwell's gruff voice crackled over the comms. "Are you seeing this, Edward? The new hybrid life forms are spreading like wildfire down here." The view screen shifted to show various locations on Earth's surface. In the Amazon, colossal trees with iridescent leaves formed living fortresses around human settlements. Off the coast of Japan, bioluminescent coral structures rose from the depths, creating natural breakwaters that protected coastal cities, from the geological upheavals. They're forming symbiotic relationships with our existing ecosystems, Dr. Tsin observed, her eyes gleaming with fascination. It's as if they're adapting to protect us. Commander Zurovek's frustrated voice cut through the chatter. All units, fall back. These damn plants are fighting back. The screen split to show Crack's extraction teams retreating from a field of writhing vegetation. The hybrid organisms moved with purpose, displaying a level of coordination that suggested a collective intelligence. In orbit, Admiral Cthor's fleet held position as a new group of ships appeared at the edge of the solar system. Edward, the Admiral's voice boomed, we've got Federation representatives requesting permission to observe. They want to assess Earth's potential as an ally against the gamma-ray burst. Before Edward could respond, Major Sterling's excited voice crackled over the comms. Control, we've done it. First successful spacecraft launch from the space elevator. These ships are like nothing we've ever seen before. The view screen showed sleek vessels emerging from the top of the space elevator, their hulls shimmering with the same adaptive technology that now covered much of Earth's surface. As the various factions maneuvered for position, the Architect's massive ship edged closer to Earth. Its swarm of probes, now fully integrated with the energy matrix, began to transmit complex data streams. Edward, Gaia's voice cut in, I'm decoding the Architect's message. It's explaining the nature of the gamma-ray burst weapon. It was designed to reset life in the galaxy, allowing a rival civilization to reshape worlds according to their own designs. The implications of this revelation hung heavy in the air, but before anyone could fully process it, alarms blared throughout the station. The view screen shifted to show a fleet of bioorganic ships launching a series of probing attacks against Earth's new defensive matrix. Empress Xylith, Ziltara hissed, its iridescent skin rippling with agitation. The Zyandar collective grows impatient. As the attacks were repelled, data streamed across the holographic displays. Earth's defenses were holding, but each assault provided valuable information on the system's capabilities. Amidst the chaos, Dr. Tsin's voice rose with excitement. Edward, I've made a breakthrough. Earth's transformation isn't just defensive. The planet is becoming a massive biological factory, capable of seeding life throughout the galaxy. The view screen zoomed in on various ecosystems, showing the rapid evolution and adaptation of Earth's new hybrid life forms. These organisms seemed capable of surviving in a wide range of environments, from the harshest deserts to the depths of the oceans. As Edward processed this new information, Grand Admiral Zorax's gravelly voice echoed through the command center. This is the Dreadnought Ultimatum. We're taking up a defensive position near Earth's moon. Our weapons are at your disposal. The massive ship moved into position, its presence adding another layer of complexity to the already crowded space around Earth. Suddenly, the energy matrix flared, sending pulses of exotic particles rippling through the wormhole network. For a brief moment, pathways between Earth and distant star systems became visible, offering tantalizing glimpses of potential colony worlds. Edward's mind raced with the possibilities and challenges that lay ahead. Earth stood at the center of a rapidly evolving galactic crisis, its awakening powers reshaping the balance of power in ways no one could have predicted. As he surveyed the chaos unfolding around him, Edward knew that the decisions made in the coming hours would shape the fate of not just humanity, but countless civilizations across the stars. The ancient station hummed with energy, its systems fully integrated with Earth's newfound powers. Outside, the solar system pulsed with the rhythm of a cosmic heartbeat, as the planet that had once seemed so small and insignificant took its place at the center of a galactic drama. The next phase of the crisis was about to begin, and Earth's true role in the cosmic order was yet to be fully revealed. As Edward surveyed the chaos unfolding around him, the ancient station trembled once more. The energy matrix encompassing the solar system pulsed with newfound intensity, its shimmering lines coalescing into solid, ring-like structures reminiscent of planetary rings. Incredible, Edward breathed, his eyes fixed on the holographic display. The matrix is evolving. Adam's voice cut through the awed silence. Sir, I'm detecting massive surges of activity within Earth's core. The planet's inner layers are reconfiguring. The view screen shifted to show a cross-section of Earth, its internal structure undergoing a dramatic transformation. New channels formed, directing flows of exotic particles through the planet's crust and mantle. Suddenly, the station rocked violently. Alarms blared as the floor beneath them shuddered. Tectonic activity off the charts. Dr. Tsin called out, her fingers flying across her console. But it's controlled. These aren't random quakes. On the main display, they watched as coastlines shifted and new landmasses emerged from the depths. Mountains rose and fell like waves on a cosmic sea, revealing hidden structures and installations that had lain dormant for eons. General Blackwell's gruff voice crackled over the comms. Edward, you seeing this? The hybrid life forms are evolving faster than we can track. Some of them are. Christ almighty, they're heading into space. The view screen split to show clusters of organisms encasing themselves in living shells, their new forms capable of withstanding the vacuum of space. These biological marvels drifted upward, forming a living defensive screen around the planet. Before Edward could respond, a warning klaxon sounded. Commander Zora Vek's face appeared on the display, her features contorted with desperation. You think you've won, she snarled. I'll show you the true might of the Krax Empire. They watched as Vek's remaining ships made a mad dash for one of the newly formed wormholes. But as they approached, the portal flickered and collapsed, trapping the Krax vessels in a shimmering void between dimensions. Fascinating, Zilthara commented, its iridescent skin rippling. The wormhole network appears to have integrated with Earth's defenses. A new transmission cut through the chatter. A distinguished-looking alien appeared on screen, flanked by a diverse array of species. This is Ambassador Zelnara of the Galactic Federation. In light of recent developments, we hereby grant Earth provisional membership status. We request permission to send a diplomatic envoy to discuss further cooperation. Edward exchanged glances with his team, the weight of this monumental shift in galactic politics settling over them. Before he could formulate a response, Major Sterling's excited voice filled the command center. Control, this is Maverick. You won't believe what we've discovered about these energy rings. They're not just offensive. They're accelerators. We can use them for rapid travel within the solar system. We're pushing our new ships to their limits, and the possibilities are, well, they're out of this world. As Sterling's team pushed the boundaries of Earth's new capabilities, the Architect's ship began to change. It broke apart into smaller units, spreading throughout the solar system like seeds in cosmic wind. These mobile stations took up positions around planets and moons, analyzing and enhancing the terraforming processes already underway. Amidst a flurry of activity, a new transmission cut through. The imperious visage of Empress X-Wyleth filled the screen, her bioorganic form pulsing with nearly unleashed energy. Defenders of Earth, she intoned, her voice a symphony of harmonics. Your resilience is admirable. Perhaps there is more to be gained in alliance than in conquest. We offer exchange of technologies and valuable data on the long-term effects of the gamma-ray burst. What say you? Before Edward could process this unexpected offer, Dr. Tsin's voice rose with excitement. Edward, Zilthara and I have made a breakthrough. Earth's adaptive mechanisms. They can be applied to other species. The implications for colonization and terraforming are staggering. The view screen shifted again, this time showing the Dreadnought Ultimatum. The massive ship seemed to shimmer and flex, its hull incorporating elements of Earth's adaptive technology. "This is Grand Admiral Zorax," the gravelly voice announced. "Our systems are evolving. Whatever you've done down there, it's turning the ultimatum into something new, something powerful." As if in response to this declaration, the surface of Mars flashed on the display. Vast oceans began to form, fed by the rapid melting of ice caps and the emergence of liquid water from beneath the planet's crust. A thickening atmosphere shimmered into existence, promising new possibilities for expansion and colonization. Edward's mind raced with the implications of these rapid developments. As he processed a flood of information, his eyes were drawn to a flashing alert on a nearby console. Curious, he accessed the data stream, his eyes widening as he deciphered its contents. "Everyone," he called out, his voice cutting through the chaos of the command center. "I've found something. The ancient civilization. They left backup facilities in nearby star systems. If we can reach them, we might find the resources we need to face the gamma ray burst head-on." As Edward spoke, the energy rings surrounding Earth pulsed with renewed vigor. They began to absorb and store cosmic radiation, including the faint initial waves of the approaching burst. The rings glowed with power, channeling this energy back to Earth and fueling its ongoing transformation. On the planet's surface, crystalline spires erupted from the ground, reaching towards the sky like the fingers of a cosmic giant. These structures hummed with energy, amplifying Earth's defensive field and extending its influence far into space. The command center fell silent as the implications of these changes sank in. Earth, once a backwater planet on the edge of the galaxy, now stood at the center of a rapidly evolving network of worlds and advanced defense systems. The awakening of its long-dormant powers had reshaped the balance of galactic power in mere hours. As Edward gazed at the holographic display, watching the myriad changes unfold across the solar system, he knew that this was only the beginning. The true extent of Earth's role in the cosmic order was yet to be fully revealed, and the challenges ahead would test humanity's newfound abilities to their limits. With a deep breath, Edward turned to address his team, ready to take the next step in this unprecedented journey. Cosmic evolution. As he opened his mouth to speak, the crystalline spires dotting Earth's surface pulsed with blinding intensity, their network of light stretching across the globe like a web of radiant energy. "Sir," Adams called out, his eyes wide with astonishment. "The spires. They're not just defensive structures. They're forming some kind of planetary-scale computing system." Edward turned his attention to the main display, where streams of data flowed between the towering crystalline structures. The network hummed with power, processing information at a rate that defied comprehension. "It's analyzing everything," Dr. Tsim breathed, her fingers dancing across her console. "The wormhole network, the solar system's transformation, even the approaching gamma-ray burst." As the data coalesced, a pattern emerged on the screen. Edward leaned forward, his brow furrowed in concentration. The burst. It's not uniform. Look at these energy concentrations. General Blackwell's gruff voice cut through the command center. "Edward, we've got a situation down here. Those hybrid organisms you cooked up, they're forming swarms, building and repairing structures faster than we can track." The view screen shifted to show massive, coordinated groups of Earth's new life forms. They moved with eerie precision, fortifying defensive installations and managing the ongoing geological upheaval. Before Edward could respond, a new transmission crackled through. "This is Admiral Cthor of the Galactic Federation. We propose a joint military exercise to test Earth's defenses. Your Major Sterling will coordinate with our fleet." As plans for the exercise took shape, a stocky man with salt and pepper hair strode into the command center. "Dr. Alexander Volkov, Xenobiology," he announced, his accent thick with Russian inflection. "I've been studying these new life forms. They're not just adapting to Earth. They're developing interplanetary survival capabilities." A warning klaxon interrupted the doctor's report. Commander Zorovek's face appeared on a side screen, her features distorted by interference. Trapped. Krak's empire will not abandon. Commander Darzak. Rescue. The transmission cut out, leaving a tense silence in its wake. Edward exchanged glances with his team, the implications of a potential Krak's counterattack hanging heavy in the air. "Sir," Adams called out, his voice tight with urgency. "The architect stations are picking up something at the edge of the system. Uncharted asteroids. No, wait. They're moving." The main display shifted to show a cluster of asteroids maneuvering with unnatural precision. As they watched, the rocky surfaces fell away, revealing gleaming metal and pulsing energy cores. "Ancient automated defenses," Ziltara observed, its skin rippling with excitement. "Part of the original protection grid." A new face appeared on the screen, the regal visage of Empress Xylith. "Defenders of Earth," she intoned, her bioorganic form undulating. "We request permission to establish a base on one of Jupiter's moons. Our combined technologies could lead to significant breakthroughs." As Edward pondered this request, Dr. Tsinnes' excited voice cut through the chatter. "The core emissions, they're not just particles. It's a form of communication. Encoded information," Ziltara added, its tentacles waving in agitation. "Messages from the ancients themselves." The command center erupted into a flurry of activity as the team worked to decipher this new discovery. Amidst the chaos, Grand Admiral Zorax's gravelly voice boomed through the speakers. "Energy surges detected on Venus," he reported. "The atmosphere, it's shifting. There are structures hidden beneath those clouds." Edward's mind raced as he processed a flood of information. His eyes darted to a nearby console, where data from the backup facilities scrolled across the screen. A diagram caught his attention, a massive, multi-part device labeled Stellar Aegis. "This could be it," he murmured, studying the schematics. "A shield large enough to protect multiple star systems from the burst, but it's scattered across worlds in the wormhole network." As Edward shared his discovery with the team, reports flooded in from Mars. The red planet's transformation had accelerated beyond all expectations, with the first signs of microbial life appearing in its newly formed oceans. Suddenly, the energy ring surrounding Earth flared with impossible brightness. Space itself seemed to twist and fold, revealing shimmering portals that connected distant points within the solar system. "Localized wormholes," Major Sterling breathed, his voice filled with awe. "We can move across the system in seconds." The ancient defense platforms at the edge of the solar system hummed to life, interfacing with Earth's crystalline network. Data streamed between the awakened sentinels and the transformed planet, creating an early warning system of unprecedented scale. As the command center buzzed with activity, Edward stood at the center, his mind racing with possibilities and challenges. The solar system teetered on the brink of a new era, its very nature reshaped by Earth's awakening. With the military exercise looming, a potential Krak's invasion on the horizon, and the race to assemble the Stellar Aegis underway, he knew that every decision in the coming hours would shape the fate of not just humanity, but countless civilizations across the stars. The ancient station trembled once more, as if in anticipation of the trials to come. Outside, the transformed solar system pulsed with newfound energy, ready to face whatever challenges the universe might throw its way. Way at humanity, Edward turned his attention back to the command center's main display, where a flurry of new data streams demanded his focus. "Sir," Adams called out, his voice tinged with awe, "you need to see this." The holographic display shifted, revealing a mesmerizing spectacle unfolding around Earth. The planet's crystalline computing network, now fully integrated with its molten core, pulsed with an otherworldly energy. Tendrils of gravitational force extended beyond the atmosphere, creating a shimmering, spherical zone of influence that engulfed the moon and nearby space. Edward leaned forward, his eyes widening as he observed the phenomenon. "What are we looking at, Adams?" "It appears to be a new gravitational field, sir," Adams replied, his fingers dancing across his console. "And it's collecting things." As they watched, the gravitational field began to attract space debris from across the solar system. Asteroids, defunct satellites, and cosmic dust swirled towards Earth, coalescing into a dense ring of material that encircled the planet. Dr. Tsin's voice cut through the stunned silence. "Fascinating. The ring is compressing under its own gravity. It's forming a new moon." The artificial satellite took shape before their eyes, a testament to Earth's newfound power. General Blackwell's gruff voice crackled over the comms. "Edward, are you seeing this? We need to secure that moon immediately. It could be a game changer for our defenses." "Agreed," Edward replied. "Get Dr. Volkov on it. We need to know exactly what we're dealing with." As Blackwell dispatched a team to investigate the new moon, Major Sterling's face appeared on a side screen. "Sir, I've been analyzing the tactical implications of this development. With your permission, I'd like to draft plans for fortifications on the artificial moon surface." Edward nodded. "Make it happen, Major. We'll need every advantage we can get." The command center erupted into a flurry of activity as teams mobilized to address the new development. Amidst the chaos, a warning klaxon blared, drawing everyone's attention to the long-range sensors. Crack's battle fleet detected at the edge of the system. Commander Zora Vex announced, her voice tight with tension. "They're advancing rapidly." Edward's mind raced as he assessed the situation. "Activate the ancient defense platforms. Let's see what they can do." As if in response to his command, the dormant sentinels at the system's edge hummed to life. Swarms of self-replicating drones poured forth, forming a shimmering barrier between the approaching Crack's forces and the inner planets. "Empress X-Wilet is hailing us," Adams reported. The Zyandar leader's bioorganic form filled the screen. "Defenders of Earth," she intoned, her voice thrumming with excitement. "We've made a breakthrough on Jupiter's moon. Our scientists have developed a new form of shielding capable of withstanding extreme energy bombardments. This could be crucial in protecting vulnerable planets from the gamma-ray burst." As Edward processed this information, Dr. Tsin and Zilthra burst into the command center. "We've deciphered part of the Corps' message," Dr. Tsin announced breathlessly. "There's a massive underground complex beneath the Mariana Trench. It could be the key to understanding Earth's defense systems." Before Edward could respond, Grand Admiral Zorax's gravelly voice filled the room. "Energy pulses detected from Venus. They're interacting with Earth's new gravitational field, amplifying both planets' defenses. It seems they were designed to work together." Edward's mind whirled with the implications of these discoveries. He turned to address his team, ready to coordinate their next moves, when a new alert caught his attention. "Sir," Adams called out, "the wormhole network is stabilizing. We've identified a planet that likely contains a key component of the stellar aegis." Edward nodded, his decision made. "Assemble an exploration team. Include some of Dr. Volkov's hybrid life forms. We need to retrieve that component as soon as possible." As the team rushed to carry out his orders, Edward's gaze was drawn back to the main display. The artificial moon loomed large, a symbol of Earth's transformation and the challenges that lay ahead. The solar system had become a vast, interconnected defensive network, awakening to face the threats that lurked in the depths of space. With the Crack's fleet advancing, the military exercise looming, and the race to assemble the stellar aegis underway, Edward knew that the next few hours would be critical. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for the battles to come, both in space and on the transformed worlds of their solar system. Edward's attention snapped back to the main display as a new alert flashed across the screen. The artificial moon, born from the gravitational field's collection of space debris, was undergoing an unprecedented transformation. "Sir, you need to see this," Adams called out, his voice filled with a mixture of awe and concern. The command center fell silent as they watched the newly formed satellite reshape itself before their eyes. The compressed material began to shift and flow, forming intricate structures and caverns throughout its interior. It was as if the moon was coming alive, driven by some unseen force. It's self-organizing," Dr. Tim breathed, her fingers flying across her console as she analyzed the incoming data. The interaction between Earth's crystalline network and the exotic materials within the moon is causing this transformation. Edward leaned forward, his brow furrowed in concentration. "We need to understand what's happening there. Major Sterling, what's the status of our fortification efforts?" The main screen split to reveal Major Marcus Maverick Sterling's face, his expression a mix of excitement and disbelief. "Sir, you won't believe this. The moon's surface, it's responding to our thoughts." "Explain," Edward demanded, his mind racing with the implications. Sterling's image was replaced by a live feed from the moon's surface. Construction crews moved with purpose, their focus evident even through their protective suits. As they worked, the very ground beneath their feet seemed to shift and mold itself to their will. "When we focus on specific defensive configurations, the moon's material reshapes itself to accommodate our designs," Sterling reported. "It's like nothing we've ever seen before. We can deploy and modify structures at an unprecedented rate." Edward nodded, a glimmer of hope sparking in his eyes. "This could be the advantage we need. Keep pushing the limits of this integration, Major. We'll need every edge we can get." As Sterling acknowledged the order, another alert blared through the command center. Commander Zara Vek's face appeared on a side screen, her features set in a grim expression. "The Krax fleet has engaged our outer defenses," she reported. "The ancient platforms have launched swarms of self-replicating drones. They're incredible, sir, highly adaptive, changing their attack patterns on the fly. Commander Diarizak has been forced to divide his fleet to combat them." Edward allowed himself a small smile. "Good. That should buy us some time. Keep me updated on their progress." As the command center buzzed with activity, coordinating the solar system's defenses, Dr. Alexander Volkov burst into the room, his eyes wild with excitement. "Edward," he called out, his Russian accent thicker than usual in his agitation, "you must see this. The hybrid organisms, they're evolving beyond our wildest expectations." Volkov's tablet displayed footage of the new life forms moving in complex, coordinated patterns. They seemed to communicate without sound, solving problems and constructing intricate structures with a collective intelligence that far surpassed their individual capabilities. "It's as if they're developing a hive mind," Volkov explained, his voice filled with wonder. "I believe this might be a side effect of Earth's evolving defenses, perhaps preparing our biosphere for the challenges posed by the gamma-ray burst." Before Edward could fully process this information, Empress Exwilata's bioorganic form filled the main screen. "Defenders of Earth," she intoned, her voice thrumming with excitement. "We've achieved a breakthrough in our shielding technology." The screen split to show a shimmering energy field surrounding a test facility on Jupiter's moon. This prototype can withstand energy levels comparable to those expected from the gamma-ray burst, Exwilot explained. "However, it requires a constant supply of organic material to maintain its integrity. We must find a way to scale this technology for planetary defense." As Edward pondered this new development, Grand Admiral Zorax's gravelly voice cut through the chatter. "Energy pulses from Venus are intensifying. They're forming a visible web of light connecting with Earth, and now extending to Mars and the outer planets." The main display shifted to show a mesmerizing network of energy tendrils linking the planets of the solar system. The localized wormholes pulse with increased strength, their shimmering portals offering near-instantaneous travel across vast distances. It's a solar system-wide defensive grid, Edward realized, his voice filled with awe. Amidst the flurry of activity, a priority message from Mars caught Edward's attention. The red planet's accelerated evolution had taken an unexpected turn, producing silicon-based life forms resembling crystalline structures. Initial tests suggest these entities can absorb and redirect energy on a massive scale, the report stated. They could potentially serve as living conduits for the stellar aegis. As Edward processed this flood of information, he turned his attention to the expedition he had sent to retrieve the stellar aegis component. The team's updates painted a picture of ancient security measures that seemed designed not just to protect, but to test those who sought to claim the powerful artifact. In the outer reaches of the solar system, a tense standoff was developing. The ancient defense platforms, having successfully slowed the Crack's advance, began to arrange themselves into a massive, spherical formation. As they watched, the platforms generated an energy field reminiscent of the stellar aegis itself. Edward stood at the center of the command room, his mind racing with the implications of these rapid developments. The solar system was transforming before their eyes, awakening ancient defenses and birthing new forms of life. As Earth and its allies raced against time to prepare for both the military exercise and the looming threats, one thing became clear. They were playing a central role in a cosmic drama that had been set in motion eons ago. With the Crack's fleet engaged at the system's edge and the joint military exercise looming, Edward knew that every decision in the coming hours would be critical. He turned to address his team, ready to coordinate their next moves in this high-stakes game of cosmic chess. As Edward contemplated the cosmic drama unfolding before him, a sudden surge of energy rippled through the command center. The main display flickered, then stabilized, revealing an awe-inspiring sight. The ancient defense platforms, once scattered across the outer reaches of the solar system, had coalesced into a perfect sphere. The massive formation pulsed with an otherworldly glow, sending waves of energy cascading through space. "Sir," Commander Zuravex called out, her voice tinged with wonder. "The energy field is interacting with our defenses." Edward watched as the pulses synchronizing with Earth's crystalline network, Sentinel, and the transformed planets. The entire solar system seemed to hum with a shared rhythm, a cosmic heartbeat uniting their disparate defenses. At the edge of the system, Commander Darezak's Crack's fleet found itself facing an impenetrable barrier. The energy field shimmered and flexed, absorbing each attack with ease. "Incoming transmission from the Crack's fleet," Adams announced. Darezak's scarred visage filled the screen. "You've made impressive progress, humans," he growled, mandibles clicking in frustration. "But we will find a way through your defenses." As the transmission cut off, Edward observed the Crack's ship's breaking formation, spreading out to probe the energy field for weaknesses. "General Blackwell," Edward called, "coordinate with our allies. We need to monitor every inch of that barrier." Before Blackwell could respond, Dr. Volkov burst into the command center, his eyes wild with excitement. "Edward, you must see this." The scientist's tablet displayed a live feed from his lab. The hybrid organisms were moving with uncanny coordination, forming intricate patterns that spread across the facility. "It's happening all over the world," Volkov explained breathlessly. "They're creating a global network, interfacing directly with our crystalline systems. Our information processing capabilities are off the charts." Edward's mind raced with the implications. "Adams, get me Major Sterling on Sentinel." The artificial moon's surface filled the main screen, and Edward's jaw dropped. Sentinel was transforming before their eyes, its entire structure shifting and flowing like liquid metal. "Sterling here, sir." The Major's voice crackled through the comms. "You won't believe what's happening. The moon, it's responding to our collective strategies. Look!" As they watched, massive energy cannons emerged from Sentinel's surface, while vast chambers formed within its core. "It's creating space for our hybrid armies," Sterling explained, his voice filled with awe. "Sir, Sentinel is becoming a fully integrated battle station." Edward nodded, a plan forming in his mind. "Excellent work, Major. Prepare for dash." His words were cut off by an urgent alert. The team sent to retrieve the Stellar Aegis component had made contact. "Edward," the team leader's voice crackled to the comms, "we've found it. But there's more you need to know." The feed switched to show a glowing crystalline sphere suspended in an energy field. As Edward watched, the sphere projected a shimmering hologram. "The Stellar Aegis is not just a weapon," a melodious voice echoed through the command center. "It is the key to unlocking the full potential of Earth and its neighboring worlds. You stand at the threshold of a great awakening." Before Edward could process this revelation, another alert blared through the command center. Grand Admiral Zorax's gravelly voice filled the room. "Energy signatures detected on Mars," he reported. "The silicon-based life forms are multiplying at an exponential rate." The main display shifted to show the red planet's surface. Intricate crystalline patterns spread across the landscape, aligning perfectly with the energy web connecting the planets. As Edward watched this unfolding transformation, Empress Exwelita's bioorganic form appeared on a side screen. "Defenders of Earth," she intoned, her voice thrumming with excitement. "I believe we can combine our shielding technology with these silicon entities. A hybrid defense system that could revolutionize our strategies." Edward nodded, his mind whirling with possibilities. "Make it happen, Empress. We'll need every advantage we can get." As if in response to his words, the ancient defense platforms surrounding the solar system began to emit a high-frequency signal. The command center's long-range sensors lit up, tracking the signal as it raced across the galaxy. "Sir," Adams called out, his voice filled with awe, "the signal is activating other defense systems. It's like we're at the center of a galactic web." Edward stood at the heart of the command center, watching as the solar system transformed around him. The Krax fleet probed their defenses. Earth's hybrid life forms evolved beyond imagination, and ancient technologies awakened from millennia of slumber. As he prepared to coordinate their next moves, a final alert caught his attention. A single Krax scout ship had slipped through a temporary breach in their defenses. "All stations on high alert," Edward commanded, his voice steady despite the rising tension. "We have an intruder in our midst." The solar system had become a crucible of change, with Earth at its molten core. As Edward surveyed the unfolding cosmic drama, he knew that every decision in the coming hours would shape the fate of not just their world, but the entire galaxy. The intruding Krax scout ship posed an immediate threat. But before Edward could fully address the situation, a blinding flash of light erupted from the main display. The ancient planetoid ship carrying his team had entered the solar system, triggering a dormant defense network. Massive energy beams shot forth from hidden installations on the Moon, Venus, and several of Jupiter's moons, converging on the approaching vessel. The command center fell silent as they watched the spectacular light show unfold. "Sir," Adams called out, his voice filled with awe, "the ship is transmitting some kind of authentication code. The defense systems are standing down." As the energy beams retreated, Edward's attention snapped back to the more pressing issue. "General Blackwell, coordinate with our allies to track that Krax scout. We can't let it compromise our defenses." Blackwell nodded, his fingers flying over a holographic interface. "Already on it. Sir, I'm deploying our new hybrid defensive units to key installations worldwide." On the main screen, Edward watched as a bizarre, evolving life form studied by Dr. Volkov began to spread across military bases and strategic locations. The organisms moved with eerie coordination, forming living walls and sensor arrays that pulsed with bioluminescent energy. A priority message from Sentinel caught Edward's attention. Major Sterling's face appeared on a side screen, his eyes wide with excitement. "Mr. President, you won't believe what's happening up here," Sterling reported. "Sentinel is evolving. We've got massive energy cannons forming on the surface, and the internal structure is reconfiguring itself into some kind of battle station." As Sterling spoke, the view shifted to show Sentinel's surface rippling like liquid metal, vast weapon systems emerging from its depths. Suddenly, a shimmering portal opened near the moon's equator. "Sir, we've just generated a localized wormhole," Sterling exclaimed. "We can now deploy forces anywhere in the solar system almost instantaneously." Edward's mind raced with the tactical possibilities. "Excellent work, Major. Start running full diagnostics on these new capabilities. We'll need them soon enough." As if on cue, an alert blared through the command center. Grand Admiral Zorax's gravelly voice filled the room. "Crack's fleet is launching a coordinated assault on our outer defenses. Hundreds of ships concentrating fire on a single point." The main display shifted to show the edge of the solar system. The energy barrier generated by the ancient defense platforms shimmered under the onslaught of Crack's weapons fire. As Edward watched, the platforms began to move, concentrating their power at the point of attack. "Incredible," Zorax muttered. "The ancient defenses are adapting to the Crack strategy in real time." The collision of energies at the edge of the system created a dazzling light show visible even from Earth. As the battle raged, Edward received an incoming transmission from Mars. The red planet's surface had transformed dramatically. Intricate crystalline patterns spread across the landscape, forming a planet-wide network of silicon-based life. Massive structures rose from the Martian deserts, their faceted surfaces gleaming in the sun. President Remar, a calm, almost musical voice intoned, "We are the Silicate Collective. Our network has successfully interfaced with the interplanetary energy web. We stand ready to channel the power of the approaching gamma-ray burst." Before Edward could respond, another alert demanded his attention. This time, it was Empress X Wylith, her bioorganic form shimmering with excitement. "Defenders of Earth," she announced, "we've done it. Our hybrid shield technology is ready for deployment. We're combining our bioorganic shields with the silicon entities from Mars. This new defense system will revolutionize our ability to withstand high-energy attacks." As X Wylith spoke, Edward saw holographic projections of the new shield technology spreading across key locations in the solar system. The hybrid shield shimmered with an otherworldly glow, layers of bioorganic material intertwined with crystalline structures. Amidst the flurry of activity, a priority message from the Deep Space Monitoring Station flashed across Edward's personal display. His heart raced as he read the report. The leading edge of the gamma-ray burst had been detected. They had days, at most, before it reached the solar system. "General Blackwell," Edward called out, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation, "initiate full activation of all defense systems. We're out of time for testing." As Blackwell relayed the orders, Edward turned his attention back to the approaching planetoid ship, carrying the stellar Aegis component. As it entered the inner solar system, the artifact began to resonate with Earth's crystalline network. The energy web connecting the planets pulsed with increased power, expanding into a three-dimensional lattice that filled the space between worlds. Edward felt a strange sensation wash over him, as if the very fabric of reality was shifting. The lattice of energy was altering the physics within the solar system, creating a localized bubble of altered space-time that further enhanced their defenses. Hidden structures on moons and asteroids throughout the system began to activate, revealing themselves as additional components of the stellar Aegis. The ancient defense system was awakening, preparing for a threat that had been anticipated millennia ago. As Edward stood at the heart of the command center, watching the solar system transform around him, he realized they were entering the final phase of a cosmic plan set in motion eons before humanity had even evolved. The Cracks' assault raged at the system's edge. Their scout ship lurked somewhere within their defenses, and the gamma ray burst approached inexorably. The next few days would determine not just the fate of Earth, but the future of the entire solar system. As the planetoid ship, carrying his team, and the crucial stellar Aegis component hurtled towards Earth, Edward prepared himself for the challenges ahead. Knowing that every decision he made would shape the course of history, cosmic plans set in motion eons before humanity had even evolved. The Cracks' assault raged at the system's edge. Their scout ship lurked somewhere within their defenses, and the gamma ray burst approached inexorably. The command center's main display suddenly lit up with a blinding flash. The ancient planetoid ship, carrying Edward's team, had entered Earth's orbit, triggering a cascade of long-dormant defense systems. Massive energy cannons emerged from hidden bases on the Moon, Venus, and several of Jupiter's moons, all targeting the approaching vessel. "Hold fire," Edward commanded, his voice steady despite the tension. "That's our team." As if in response, the ship's ancient systems transmitted a complex authentication code. The defense systems immediately powered down, allowing the vessel to approach Earth unimpeded. "Adams, track that ship's descent," Edward ordered. "I want to know exactly where it lands." The planetoid ship entered Earth's atmosphere, its outer layers peeling away to reveal a sleek, advanced craft designed for atmospheric entry. It streaked across the sky, leaving a trail of blue-white plasma in its wake. "Sir, the ship is on course for the Sahara Desert," Adams reported. "Dr. Tsin's team is already in position at the landing site." Edward nodded, his mind racing with the implications of what they'd recovered. "General Blackwell, I want a full security detail ready to escort the stellar Aegis component to the facility beneath the Great Pyramid." As Edward issued orders, the main display shifted to show the Sahara landing site. The advanced ship touched down with precision, kicking up a cloud of sand. As the dust settled, Edward watched his team disembark, carefully handling a glowing crystalline sphere. Suddenly, the ship began to sink into the sand, revealing a hidden underground facility. "Adams, get me a direct line to Dr. Tsin," Edward commanded. Before Adams could comply, an urgent alert blared through the command center. Grand Admiral Zorax's gravelly voice filled the room. "Energy signatures detected near Mars' orbit. It's the Crack Scout ship." The display split, showing both the Sahara landing site and the space around Mars. The Crack's vessel, barely visible thanks to its advanced stealth technology, was maneuvering through the complex network of silicon structures surrounding the red planet. "How did it get past our defenses?" Edward demanded. "Unknown, sir," Zorax replied. "Its stealth capabilities are beyond anything we've encountered before." Edward's mind raced, weighing the immediate threat against the potential of the stellar Aegis. "Blackwell, divert some of our hybrid defensive units to reinforce Mars. We can't let that scout compromise our new silicon allies." As Blackwell relayed the orders, a new transmission came through from Sentinel. Major Sterling's face appeared on screen, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "Mr. President, you need to see this," Sterling said, his voice filled with awe. The view shifted to show Sentinel's surface, where hybrid organisms were forming living weapon arrays and self-repairing hull structures. Sterling continued, "We've just completed the final integration tests. Watch this." A shimmering portal opened near Sentinel's equator, and a small fleet of Earth fighters emerged, instantly appearing near Mars. "Localized wormholes, sir," Sterling explained. "We can now deploy forces anywhere in the system almost instantaneously." Edward nodded, impressed. "Excellent work, Major. Use that capability to help track down that crack scout." As Sterling acknowledged the order, another priority alert flashed across Edward's display. His heart raced as he read the report. The leading edge of the gamma ray burst had accelerated. They now had less than 48 hours before it reached the solar system. "General Blackwell, Edward called out, his voice urgent but controlled. Initiate full activation of all defense systems, regardless of testing status. We're out of time. As Blackwell relayed the orders, Edward turned his attention back to the Sahara. The stellar Aegis component was being loaded onto a high-speed transport, ready for its journey to Giza. Sir, Adams interrupted Dar. Sin reports that the underground facility is some kind of ancient control center. It's powering up as we speak. Before Edward could respond, the main display shifted again, showing a massive energy surge rippling through Earth's crust. Hidden structures around the globe began to reveal themselves, emerging from mountains, deserts, and ocean floors. My God! Edward breathed, realization dawning. They're all part of the stellar Aegis. As Earth's hidden defenses awakened, the outer reaches of the solar system erupted in a spectacular light show. The Krax fleet had launched a full-scale assault on the energy barrier, hundreds of ships concentrating their firepower on a single point. The ancient defense platforms responded instantly, redirecting energy to reinforce the point of attack. The collision of forces created a dazzling display visible throughout the solar system. Amidst the chaos, a transmission came through from Jupiter's moon. Empress X-Violet's bioorganic form shimmered on screen. Defenders of Earth, she announced, our hybrid biosilicon shields are ready for deployment. We're transferring the designs to your fabrication facilities now. As X-Violet spoke, Edward saw holographic projections of the new shield technology spreading across key locations in the inner planets. The hybrid shield shimmered with an otherworldly glow, layers of bioorganic material intertwined with crystalline structures. Another alert demanded Edward's attention, this time from Mars. The red planet's surface had transformed dramatically, massive energy collectors rising from the silicon-based landscape. President Remar, the musical voice of the Silicate Collective, intoned, our planet-wide network is operational. We stand ready to channel energy into the interplanetary lattice. As Edward watched, the energy collectors on Mars powered up, drawing power from the sun and surrounding space. The silicon entities pulsed with otherworldly light, feeding energy into the vast lattice connecting the planets. Suddenly, the ground shook beneath the command center. On the main display, Edward saw the planetoid ship rising from the Sahara Desert, reconfiguring itself into a massive energy projector. Sir, Adams called out, his voice filled with awe, similar structures are emerging all over the system. They're aligning into some kind of array. Edward stood at the heart of the command center, watching as the solar system transformed around him. Earth pulsed with awakened power, coordinating the vast network of alien technologies and life forms into a cohesive defense system. As the Krax fleet continued its assault and the gamma ray burst raced towards them, Edward knew they were entering the final phase of this cosmic conflict. The next 48 hours would determine not just the fate of Earth, but the future of the entire galaxy. As Edward watched the solar system transform around him, the Krax fleet intensified its assault on the outer energy barrier. The main display erupted with a blinding flash as hundreds of Krax ships concentrated their firepower on a single point. The barrier visibly distorted, its shimmering surface buckling under the onslaught. Sir, the outer defenses are weakening, Adams called out, his voice tight with tension. Edward leaned forward, his eyes fixed on the display. Redirect power from the secondary systems. We can't let them breach that barrier. As if in response to his command, the ancient automated defense platform sprang into action. Massive energy beams lanced out from hidden installations across the solar system, converging on the weakening point. The collision of forces created a spectacular light show that illuminated the void of space, casting eerie shadows across the command center. Amidst the chaos, a priority alert flashed across Edward's console. His eyes widened as he read the report. Adams, we've got a security breach. Something's made it through the energy web. Before Adams could respond, Grand Admiral Zorax's gravelly voice filled the room. Confirmed, Mr. President. We've detected a stealth signature matching the crack scout ship. It's entered Earth's atmosphere. Edward's mind raced, calculating the potential consequences of this infiltration. Track its trajectory. We need to know where it's headed. As the command center buzzed with activity, the ground beneath their feet began to tremble. The main display shifted, showing live feeds from across the globe. Massive structures were emerging from the ocean floors, rising from hidden mountain bases, and breaking through the Earth's crust. My God! Edward breathed, watching as an enormous energy projector rose from the Pacific Ocean. Similar installations were appearing all over the planet, interfacing with the crystalline network and dramatically enhancing Earth's defenses. A transmission from the Sahara cut through the din. Dr. Lyra Tsenes's face appeared on screen, her eyes wide with excitement. President Remar, you need to see this. The view shifted to show a hidden chamber deep beneath the desert sands. It was filled with advanced alien technology, unlike anything Edward had ever seen. At the center stood a device that pulsed with an otherworldly light. We believe this is a control interface for the entire stellar Aegis system, Dr. Tsen explained, her voice filled with awe. Edward nodded, his decision made in an instant. Activated, Doctor. We need every advantage we can get. As Dr. Tsen interfaced with the alien device, a holographic display of the solar system materialized in the command center. It showed the positions of all defensive installations, the approaching gamma-ray burst, and the complex network of energy flowing between the planets. Suddenly, Major Sterling's face appeared on a secondary display. Mr. President, General Blackwell, has ordered the deployment of rapid response teams throughout the system. We're initiating the first large-scale test of Sentinel's wormhole generation capability. Edward watched as stable wormholes blossomed across the solar system, connecting Earth, Mars, and Jupiter's moons. Earth fighters poured through the portals, taking up defensive positions around key installations. The main display shifted again, this time showing Mars. The red planet's surface was alive with activity as the silicon-based life forms completed their planet-wide network of energy collectors. As the collectors powered up, visible waves of energy pulsed through the interplanetary lattice. Earth's transformation continued as the planetoid ship that had brought Edward's team home reconfigured itself into a massive energy projector. It aligned with similar structures on Venus, Mars, and Jupiter's moons, forming a solar system-wide array. As the array activated, a complex energy field enveloped the entire solar system. Layer upon layer of shimmering defenses sprang into existence, each one more intricate than the last. Empress Exwalitha's face appeared on screen, her bioorganic form pulsing with excitement. The hybrid biosilicon shields are fully deployed, President Remar. They're integrating with the existing network now. Edward nodded, his eyes fixed on the holographic display. The solar system had become a vast, interconnected defensive network, poised on the brink of conflict. Suddenly, a brilliant flash of light overwhelmed the sensors. The leading edge of the gamma-ray burst had reached the outer defensive shield. The shield absorbed and redirected the initial wave of energy, creating a dazzling display that momentarily outshone the sun. As the light faded, an urgent message from General Blackwell appeared on Edward's personal display. The deep space monitoring stations had made a critical discovery. The gamma-ray burst was not a natural phenomenon. It was a focused beam of energy, deliberately aimed at the solar system. Edward's blood ran cold as the implications sank in. This wasn't just an invasion or a cosmic event. It was a coordinated attack on a scale beyond anything they had imagined. As alarms blared and reports flooded in from across the system, Edward stood at the heart of the command center, the weight of humanity's fate resting squarely on his shoulders. The Crack's fleet continued its relentless assault on the outer barrier. The infiltrating scout ship moved undetected through Earth's defenses, and the true nature of the gamma-ray burst had been revealed. The ancient civilization's plans for the solar system were unfolding around them, but countless mysteries remained. As Earth and its allies braced for the convergence of these threats, Edward knew that the true test of their preparations was about to begin. The ancient civilization's defenses were awakening, but would they be enough to face this unprecedented threat? A blinding flash erupted on the main display, causing Edward to shield his eyes. As the light faded, he saw the gamma ray burst, splitting into multiple focus streams, each targeting a specific planet or defensive installation. "My God!" General Blackwell's voice crackled over the comm. "It's not a natural phenomenon. It's a weapon." Edward's mind raced as he processed this new information. He turned to Dr. Lyritzin, who was already interfacing with the Stellar Aegis control device. "Doctor, can we reconfigure the defense network to counter these energy streams?" Edward asked, his voice urgent but controlled. Dr. Tsin's fingers danced across the alien interface. "I believe so, Mr. President. The system is remarkably adaptive." As they worked, the holographic display updated, showing the incoming energy streams and their projected targets. Edward input a series of commands, causing the solar system-wide array of energy projectors to shift and realign. Outside, the massive structures on Earth, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter's moons groaned and creaked as they repositioned themselves to intercept the incoming energy streams. The sound of their movement reverberated through the command center, a visceral reminder of the scale of the defenses at their disposal. Suddenly, an alert flashed on Edward's console. "Sir," Adams called out, "we've lost contact with the underwater installation in the Pacific." Edward's brow furrowed. The crack scout ship? Before Adams could respond, the ground beneath them shuddered. Seismic readings spiked across the Pacific region, threatening to destabilize Earth's tectonic plates. "Divert power to contain the seismic activity," Edward ordered, knowing it could weaken their overall defense against the gamma ray weapon. As Earth's internal defenses struggled to maintain stability, the battle in space intensified. The main display showed the Krax fleet finally breaching the outer energy barrier. A swarm of alien warships poured through the opening, only to collide with the next layer of Earth's defenses. The hybrid biosilicon shields developed by Empress Xylitha's team sprang to life. The shield shimmered and pulsed, absorbing and redirecting the Krax weapon's fire in a dazzling display of light and energy. The unexpected defense scattered the Krax ships, buying Earth's forces precious time. "Impressive," Edward murmured, watching the effectiveness of the hybrid technology. In Earth orbit, the fleet of adaptive technology spacecraft engaged the Krax warships that had managed to penetrate the outer defenses. The Earth vessels moved with unprecedented agility, their hybrid organic technological systems allowing them to adjust tactics on the fly. The space battle illuminated Earth's skies, visible to the panicked population below. Streaks of energy crisscrossed the night, punctuated by brilliant explosions as ships on both sides were hit. On Mars, the silicon-based life forms responded to the approaching energy streams from the gamma ray weapon. The planet-wide network of crystalline structures began to pulse rhythmically, generating a counter-frequency that disrupted the coherence of the incoming beams. Edward watched in awe as the energy streams targeting Mars dispersed, their destructive potential significantly reduced. "The Silicate Collective has come through for us," he said, a note of relief in his voice. Back on Earth, the newly revealed alien installations rising from the oceans and mountains fully activated. These structures generated a series of interlocking energy fields that enveloped the planet, forming a multi-layered protective cocoon. As the first of the gamma ray weapon's energy streams reached Earth, it collided with this defensive shell. The resulting explosion of light and energy was visible from the ground, casting eerie shadows across the landscape and bathing the world in an otherworldly glow. "Sir," Adams called out, his voice tight with urgency, "we're receiving a transmission from the deep space monitoring stations." The main display shifted to show a massive construct at the edge of the solar system, previously hidden by advanced cloaking technology. The construct was the size of a small moon, dwarfing even the largest Crack's warships. Edward's eyes widened as he analyzed the data through the stellar Aegis control interface. The energy signature. It matches the ancient civilization's technology. This revelation sent shockwaves through the command center. The gamma ray weapon, their most formidable threat, might be a creation of the same beings who designed Earth's defenses. As Edward grappled with the implications of this discovery, a new alert demanded his attention. Major Marcus Maverick, Sterling's face appeared on a secondary display. "Mr. President," Sterling reported, his voice steady despite the chaos around him, "Sentinel is fully operational. We've deployed rapid response teams through the wormhole network to reinforce critical positions across the system." The display showed squads of specially trained soldiers and hybrid organisms materializing on Mars, Venus, and key asteroid bases. Meanwhile, Sentinel itself began to transform, its surface reconfiguring to reveal an array of massive energy weapons. As the battle raged across multiple fronts, Edward felt the weight of command pressing down on him. The solar system was engulfed in a multidimensional conflict, with Earth's forces battling the Crack's fleet in space, countering the gamma ray weapon's energy streams, and facing internal sabotage from Crack's infiltrators. The revelation of the moon-sized construct and its connection to the ancient civilization added a new layer of mystery to an already complex situation. As Edward watched the conflict unfold on the holographic display, he knew that every decision he made in the next few moments could mean the difference between survival and annihilation. The command center hummed with activity as reports flooded in from across the solar system. Edward stood at the heart of it all, his mind racing to process the information and formulate a strategy that could save not just Earth, but the entire solar system from this unprecedented threat. The command center fell silent for a moment as the gravity of the situation sank in. Edward's eyes narrowed as he studied the holographic display, his mind racing to process the flood of information. He turned to Dr. Lyritzin, who was still interfacing with the stellar Aegis control device. "Doctor, we need to push the system to its limits," Edward said, his voice steady despite the chaos surrounding them. "There has to be more we can do with this technology." Dr. Tsin nodded, her fingers dancing across the alien interface with renewed intensity. As she worked, the holographic display flickered and expanded, revealing previously hidden layers of data. "Mr. President," she called out, excitement evident in her voice, "I've found something, a hidden subroutine within the stellar Aegis system." Edward leaned in, studying the newly revealed information. "What does it do?" "It appears to be a program that, when activated, causes the energy projectors throughout the solar system to emit a specific frequency," Dr. Tsin explained. "I believe it's meant to interact with something big." Without hesitation, Edward gave the order. "Activate it, Doctor. Let's see what this ancient civilization had in mind." As Dr. Tsin initiated the subroutine, the massive energy projectors scattered across the solar system began to pulse with a new rhythm. The command center's sensors picked up the change immediately, displaying the propagating waves of energy on the main screen. Outside, the structures on Earth groaned and shifted, aligning themselves with their counterparts on Venus, Mars, and Jupiter's moons. The sound reverberated through the underground facility, a physical reminder of the immense forces at play. On the holographic display, the waves of energy converged on the moon-sized construct at the edge of the solar system. As they watched, the construct's cloaking technology began to falter, its outlines shimmering and distorting. "It's working," Edward breathed, his eyes fixed on the display. "We're revealing its true form." As the cloaking technology continued to fail, glimpses of the construct's actual appearance became visible. Its surface was covered in intricate patterns, eerily similar to those found in Earth's crystalline network. Sir, Adams called out, his voice tense. Major Sterling is reporting increased Cracks activity near Sentinel. They're launching a massive assault. Edward's expression resolute. The Cracks, sensing the changing tide of battle, were making a desperate push. He knew that Sentinel was crucial to their defense strategy and couldn't fall. "Get me General Blackwell," Edward ordered, his mind already formulating a plan. As the general's face appeared on a secondary display, Edward spoke quickly. "General, we need to mount an offensive. The construct at the edge of the system could be the key to turning this battle in our favor. I want Major Sterling to lead a team to infiltrate it." General Blackwell's eyes widened slightly, but he nodded. "Understood, Mr. President. I'll give the order immediately." As preparations for the high-risk mission began, the battle intensified across multiple fronts. On Mars, the silicon-based life forms continued their efforts to disrupt the gamma-ray weapons' energy streams. The crystalline network covering the planet's surface grew and expanded, forming new structures that absorbed and stored the excess energy. In Earth orbit, Empress XY Litha's biosilicon shields demonstrated their remarkable adaptability. As they absorbed Cracks' weapons fire, the hybrid defense system began to analyze and replicate the enemy's energy signatures, allowing Earth's defenders to develop more effective countermeasures in real time. Meanwhile, in the Pacific Ocean, a new crisis was unfolding. The Cracks infiltrators, led by Zexlor, had gained further control over the underwater alien structure. Their actions triggered a series of increasingly violent seismic events along the Pacific Ring of Fire. As reports of massive earthquakes and volcanic eruptions flooded in, Edward received an urgent communication from Dr. Alexander Volkov in the Andes Mountains. "Mr. President," Dr. Volkov's face appeared on screen, his expression grim but determined. "I'm initiating an emergency protocol. We're releasing a specially engineered strain of hybrid organisms into the Pacific. They're designed to interface with both Earth's biology and the alien technology. It's our best chance to counter the Cracks' interference." Edward nodded, trusting in the scientist's expertise. "Do it, Doctor, and Godspeed." As the hybrid organisms spread through the Pacific, Major Sterling's voice crackled over the comm system. "Mr. President, my team is assembled and ready. We're preparing to use Sentinel's wormhole generation capability to infiltrate the construct." "Understood, Major," Edward replied. "Be prepared for anything. We have no idea what you'll find in there." As the infiltration team made their final preparations, the main Cracks fleet continued its relentless assault on the outer energy barrier. The strain on Earth's defenses was evident, with power fluctuations rippling through the system. Suddenly, Admiral Cthor's face appeared on the main display. The Galactic Federation commander's expression was one of unyielding commitment. "President Remar, we're executing a high-risk maneuver. My ships are creating controlled quantum singularities near the breach points. It should buy us some time." Edward watched in awe as the Federation ships generated a series of artificial black holes. The singularities began to siphon energy from both the Cracks' weapons and the gamma-ray streams, providing temporary relief to the overtaxed defensive grid. As the battle raged on multiple fronts, Edward stood at the heart of the command center, coordinating Earth's defense with a steady hand. The fate of not just Earth, but the entire solar system, hung in the balance. The true nature of the ancient construct, the ultimate goal of the Cracks' invasion, and the full extent of Earth's awakened powers remained to be revealed. With Major Sterling's team about to embark on their perilous mission to the mysterious construct, Dr. Volkov's hybrid organisms spreading through the Pacific, and the solar system-wide defensive network pushed to its limits, the next phase of the conflict was about to unfold. The outcome would determine the future of humanity and potentially reshape the galaxy itself. As Edward contemplated the next crucial steps in Earth's defense, an urgent transmission from Major Sterling interrupted his thoughts. The holographic display shifted to show Sterling's face, etched with tension and perseverance. "Mr. President, we have a situation," Sterling reported, his voice tight. "The Cracks have launched a massive assault on Sentinel. We're under heavy fire, and I've had to delay our mission to the construct." Edward's face hardened as he watched swarms of Cracks fighters and boarding craft overwhelm Sentinel's outer defenses. The moon's surface, now overflowing with energy weapons, lit up with constant volleys of return fire. "Hold your position, Major," Edward ordered. "Repel the invaders at all costs. Sentinel is too valuable to lose." Sterling nodded grimly. "Understood. Sir, we're engaging in close-quarters combat throughout Sentinel's corridors. I'll report back when we've secured the moon." As the battle for Sentinel raged, Edward turned his attention to the Pacific. Dr. Alexander Volkov's face appeared on a secondary display, his expression a mix of excitement and concern. "Mr. President, the hybrid organisms are spreading rapidly through the ocean," Volkov reported. "They're reaching the underwater alien structure now." Edward watched in fascination as the holographic display showed the creatures forming a living network around the installation. The hybrid organisms pulse with bioluminescent light as they interface with the ancient systems. "It's working," Volkov exclaimed. "The organisms are neutralizing the Cracks' infiltrators' influence. Seismic activity along the Ring of Fire is beginning to stabilize." Edward nodded, relief washing over him. "Excellent work, Doctor. General Blackwell, reassign resources from earthquake response to space defense." As Blackwell acknowledged the order, Edward turned back to the Stellar Aegis control interface. He focused his mind on the moon-sized construct at the edge of the solar system, willing the ancient technology to reveal its secrets. The massive space station flickered in and out of visibility on the holographic display. Its weapon system sputtered and faltered, the gamma-ray streams becoming intermittent. Admiral Cthor's voice crackled over the comm system. "President Remar, the construct's defenses are weakening. We're seizing this opportunity to engage the main Cracks force directly." Edward watched as the Galactic Federation fleet surged forward. Cthor's ships deployed the artificial quantum singularities they had created, using them to form gravitational lenses. The lenses focused the Federation's weapons fire, amplifying its destructive power against the Cracks vessels. On Mars, the silicon-based life forms continued their rapid evolution. Massive crystalline towers rose from the red planet's surface, stretching high into the thin Martian atmosphere. These structures pulsed with energy, forming a planet-wide power grid that interfaced seamlessly with Earth's defensive network. The sudden influx of power from Mars caused Earth's energy barrier to flare brightly, easily deflecting a barrage of Cracks weaponry. Edward allowed himself a small smile at this unexpected development. His moment of satisfaction was short-lived, however, as Major Sterling's face reappeared on the main display. The Major's uniform was scorched, and a thin line of blood trickled from a cut above his eye. "Mr. President, we've repelled the Cracks boarding parties," Sterling reported. "But during the fighting, we made an incredible discovery. The Cracks attack inadvertently activated a hidden chamber within Sentinel." Edward leaned forward, intrigued. "What did you find, Major?" "Advanced propulsion technology, sir," Sterling replied, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "It appears Sentinel was designed to be piloted like a massive spacecraft. We're initiating the transformation now." The holographic display shifted to show Sentinel breaking free from Earth orbit. The moon's surface rippled and shifted, revealing rows of powerful engines. Sentinel accelerated smoothly, maneuvering through the chaotic space battle with surprising agility for its size. The Cracks fleet, caught off guard by this unexpected development, scrambled to divide their forces between Earth and the now mobile Sentinel. Edward watched as Sterling piloted the moon towards the outer edges of the solar system, closing in on the ancient construct. As Sentinel approached, its enhanced sensors scanned the massive space station. The results flowed into the command center, revealing a complex network of energy conduits and control nodes within the construct. Dr. Lyra Tsin's fingers flew across the stellar Aegis interface, incorporating this new data. Mr. President, this information is invaluable. We can refine our control over the entire defensive network now. Before Edward could respond, General Blackwell interrupted with urgent news. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from our deep space monitoring station. They've detected a new wave of Cracks reinforcements approaching the solar system. The holographic display updated to show the incoming Cracks fleet. Edward's blood ran cold as he saw the sheer size of the approaching force, far larger than the initial invasion. In that moment, Edward made a decision that would alter the course of the battle and potentially the future of the solar system. He placed his hands on the stellar Aegis control interface and focused his will, initiating a full activation sequence for all dormant defense systems throughout the solar system. The effect was immediate and awe-inspiring. On Venus, massive structures burst through the planet's dense cloud cover, atmospheric processors beginning their work to transform the toxic environment. Europa's icy surface cracked open, revealing a vast underwater complex filled with advanced alien technology. Throughout the asteroid belt, ordinary-looking rocks unfolded into sleek, automated defense platforms, forming a new line against the approaching Cracks reinforcements. As these new defenses came online, the moon-sized construct at the edge of the solar system fully materialized. Its true form was revealed, a colossal shipyard and command center, capable of producing and controlling fleets of advanced spacecraft. The construct's surface began to glow with pulsating energy as it powered up, preparing to engage in the battle. Edward turned to the holographic display of Major Sterling, who stood ready with his elite team aboard Sentinel. Major, your infiltration mission is a go. Use Sentinel's wormhole generation capability to board that construct. The fate of Earth may well rest on what you find inside. Sterling saluted crisply. Understood, Mr. President. We won't let you down. As Sentinel positioned itself for the infiltration attempt, Edward looked out over the command center. Across the solar system, the combined forces of Earth, its alien allies, and the awakened ancient defenses braced for the arrival of the Cracks reinforcements. The next few hours would determine the future of humanity and the galaxy itself. Sterling's team prepared to make the jump, their faces set with persistence as the wormhole generator hummed to life. The construct loomed before them, its secrets waiting to be unlocked, unveiled. The wormhole generator hummed to life, its energy crackling through Sentinel systems. Major Sterling and his team stood ready in the specially modified shuttle, their faces set with persistence as they prepared to make the jump. All systems go, reported Dr. Lyra Tsin, her fingers dancing across the shuttle's control panel. Wormhole stability at 98%. We're ready for transit, Major. Sterling nodded, his grip tightening on the shuttle's controls. Initiating jump in 3, 2, 1. The shuttle lurched forward, enveloped by the swirling vortex of the localized wormhole. For a moment, the world outside became a blur of impossible colors and twisted space-time. Then, with a flash of light, they emerged into the heart of the ancient construct. The team found themselves in a vast hangar bay, its scale dwarfing anything they had seen before. Rows upon rows of dormant spacecraft stretched out before them, their sleek designs hinting at technological capabilities far beyond current understanding. "My God!" whispered one of the team members, his voice filled with awe. "It's a fleet, an entire fleet just waiting to be awakened." Sterling's tactical mind immediately grasped the implications. Secure the area. Dr. Tsin, see if you can interface with any of these systems. We need to understand what we're dealing with here. As the team spread out, securing the hangar and beginning their exploration, the battle continued to rage across the solar system. On Earth, General Blackwell stood at the center of a storm of activity in the command center. Holographic displays showed the approaching Cracks reinforcements, their numbers far greater than the initial invasion force. "Activate all awakened defense systems," Blackwell ordered, his voice carrying across the command center. "I want a multi-layer defensive grid operational within the next 5 minutes." Across the solar system, ancient technologies stirred to life. In the asteroid belt, what once appeared to be ordinary rocks unfolded into sleek, automated defense platforms. They formed a filled wall of weaponry, creating a formidable obstacle for the incoming Cracks fleet. Meanwhile, in the depths of the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Alexander Volkov watched in amazement as his hybrid organisms worked their magic on the underwater alien structure. The bioluminescent creatures pulsed with energy, their network spreading throughout the installation. Suddenly, the ocean floor began to shift. Volkov's eyes widened as massive structures rose from the depths, breaking the surface of the water with a thunderous roar. "Mr. President," Volkov reported, his voice filled with excitement. "The underwater structure. It's not just a single installation. It's activating launch platforms for an entire fleet." On the holographic display, Edward watched as the newly revealed platforms began to launch spacecraft of Terran design, but with clear influences from the ancient alien technology. These hybrid vessels quickly took up defensive positions around Earth, bolstering the planet's defenses. On Mars, the evolution of the silicon-based life forms reached a new pinnacle. The crystalline towers that covered the planet's surface began to resonate with the energy pulses from the stellar Aegis system. A shimmering force field enveloped the red planet, its influence extending outward to strengthen the defenses of neighboring worlds. Back on the ancient construct, Sterling's team navigated through a maze of corridors, encountering and overcoming various automated defense systems. Dr. Tsin's expertise proved invaluable as she deciphered alien control panels and bypassed security measures with remarkable efficiency. Finally, they reached what appeared to be a central control room. At its heart stood an interface strikingly similar to the stellar Aegis control system on Earth. "This is it," Dr. Tsin breathed, her eyes alight with scientific curiosity. "The key to unlocking this station's secrets." As she began to interface with the alien systems, a holographic display sprang to life, filling the room with a three-dimensional model of the solar system. The team watched in awe as the true nature of the construct revealed itself. "It's not just a shipyard or a weapon," Sterling realized, his voice filled with wonder. "It's a terraforming engine. The gamma-ray emissions, they're a byproduct of its primary function." Dr. Tsin nodded, her fingers flying over the alien controls. This station was designed to seed and nurture life across the galaxy. The defensive capabilities we've seen are just a fraction of its true purpose. In the space surrounding Earth, Admiral Cthor's Galactic Federation fleet engaged the first wave of Cracks reinforcements. The Admiral's innovative tactics came into play as his ships deployed artificial quantum singularities, creating gravitational corridors that funneled Cracks vessels into deadly kill zones. The newly launched Earth fleet from the Pacific platforms joined the fray, their hybrid technology proving remarkably effective against Cracks defenses. The battle raged fierce and furious, with neither side willing to give ground. On Venus, the atmospheric processors continued their relentless work. The planet's toxic clouds began to dissipate, revealing tantalizing glimpses of ancient structures on the surface below. These ruins hinted at a long-buried civilization, potentially linked to Earth's mysterious past. As Edward continued to operate the stellar Aegis interface from the Sahara facility, he detected a massive surge of energy emanating from the ancient construct. The space station powered up its primary systems, sending cascading waves of energy throughout the solar system. These energy pulses interacted with the awakened defenses on various planets and moons, creating a synchronized network that amplified the power of Earth's defensive grid exponentially. The Cracks fleet found itself caught between multiple layers of defense, their initial advantage quickly eroding. On the construct, Major Sterling and his team faced a critical juncture. With partial control over the station's systems, they had the potential to unlock its full capabilities and decisively end the Crack's threat. However, the consequences of such an action were unknown and potentially far-reaching. Sterling's hand hovered over the final activation sequence, the weight of his decision palpable in the air. As he prepared to make his choice, the fate of Earth and the entire galaxy hung in the balance. Balance. Sterling took a deep breath, his hand still hovering over the final activation sequence. The weight of his decision pressed down on him, but he knew there was no turning back now. "Do it," he said firmly to Dr. Tsin. "Activate the primary systems." Dr. Tsin nodded, her fingers flying across the alien control panel. As she initiated the complex activation sequence, the room hummed with increasing energy. Lights flickered to life across the construct's vast interior, systems awakening after eons of dormancy. Suddenly, a massive pulse of energy erupted from the station, rippling through the solar system. Sterling and his team braced themselves as the construct shuddered around them. Through the viewport, they watched in awe as the pulse interacted with the awakened defenses on various planets and moons, creating a synchronized network that lit up the void of space. Back on Earth, Edward's eyes widened as he monitored the surge of energy through the stellar Aegis control interface. The holographic display before him exploded with new information, showing multiple alien installations awakening across the planet. Mountain ranges shifted, desert sands parted, and the ocean floor trembled as hidden structures emerged from their long slumber. "General Blackwell," Edward called out, his voice tense with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. "Are you seeing this?" Blackwell nodded, his face illuminated by the glow of the rapidly changing tactical displays. "Yes, Mr. President. It appears we've awakened far more than we anticipated." As they watched, the newly revealed installations began to form a planetary defense grid. Energy beams shot skyward from each location, converging high above the Earth's atmosphere. A shimmering shield began to take shape, enveloping the entire planet in a protective cocoon. In space, the arrival of the Crack's reinforcements turned the battle into a maelstrom of chaos. Vastly outnumbered, the combined Earth and Galactic Federation fleets found themselves pushed to their limits. But as the construct's energy pulse reached the outer planets, the tide began to turn. The asteroid belt came alive with activity as defense platforms launched swarms of autonomous drones. These sleek, agile machines move in complex, ever-changing formations, engaging Crack's ships with relentless precision. Admiral Cthor's fleet expanded their quantum singularities, creating a labyrinth of gravitational distortions that threw the Crack's formations into disarray. On Mars, the silicon-based life forms reached a new stage of evolution. The crystalline towers that covered the planet's surface grew and interconnected, forming a planet-wide neural network. This living computer interfaced seamlessly with the ancient construct systems, allowing for unprecedented coordination of the solar system's defenses. Dr. Volkov, monitoring the situation from his station in the Pacific, watched in amazement as the ocean floor shifted dramatically. A massive portal opened beneath the waves, and from its depths emerged a fleet of biomechanical ships. These vessels, a perfect fusion of Earth's most advanced technology and ancient alien designs, rose from the water and took to the skies. "Mr. President," Volkov reported, his voice filled with awe, "the hybrid fleet is launching. They're joining the battle in Earth orbit." As the biomechanical ships engaged the Crack's forces, their adaptive hulls shimmered and changed, adjusting to each new attack. Weapons fire that would have crippled conventional vessels seemed to barely scratch these new defenders. On Venus, the last vestiges of the toxic atmosphere dissipated, revealing the planet's long-hidden surface. Vast cities and installations, dormant for millions of years, sparked to life. Energy weapons erupted from Venusian defense platforms, catching the Krax fleet in a devastating crossfire between Venus and Earth. The Krax commander, facing unexpected resistance on all fronts, made a tactical decision. He ordered a significant portion of his fleet to target the ancient construct directly, hoping to cut off what he perceived as the source of Earth's newfound power. As Krax warships approached the station, its defenses sprang into action. Massive energy beams erupted from the construct's surface, slicing through several Krax ships as if they were made of paper. The construct then began to move, its advanced propulsion systems allowing it to maneuver through space with surprising agility for its size. Aboard Sentinel, now positioned near the construct, Major Sterling received an urgent communication from General Blackwell. The general's face appeared on a holographic display, his expression grave. "Major," Blackwell said, his voice tight with tension. "The activation of the ancient systems has triggered some kind of countdown sequence. We don't know what it's building towards, but the energy readings are off the charts. Whatever it is, it could affect the entire solar system." Sterling nodded, his mind racing with the implications. "Understood, General. We'll do what we can from here to gather more information." As the battle raged across the solar system, a strange alignment began to take shape. Earth, Mars, Venus, and the gas giants started to form a perfect geometric pattern, connected by tendrils of pulsating energy. This cosmic configuration caused the ancient construct to emit an even more powerful energy pulse, temporarily disabling a significant portion of the Krax fleet. The Krax commander, his forces in disarray and options dwindling, made one final, daring plan. He ordered his remaining ships to converge on Earth itself, hoping to overwhelm its defenses through sheer numbers. As hundreds of Krax warships unleashed their full firepower on Earth's newly formed energy shield, the construct's mysterious countdown continued its relentless progression. Major Sterling and his team worked feverishly to uncover its purpose, knowing that the next few moments could determine not just the outcome of the battle, but the fate of the entire galaxy. The solar system had become a vast, multidimensional chessboard, with pieces moving on levels beyond human comprehension. As the ancient energies built towards their unknown crescendo, the defenders of Earth steeled themselves for whatever challenges the next phase of this cosmic conflict might bring. As the ancient energies built towards their unknown crescendo, the defenders of Earth steeled themselves for whatever challenges the next phase of this cosmic conflict might bring. The Krax fleet, in a desperate bid to overwhelm Earth's defenses, converged on the planet with brutal force. Thousands of warships unleashed a barrage of energy weapons, their combined firepower illuminating space like a second sun. The newly formed energy shield protecting Earth shimmered and rippled under the onslaught, its integrity wavering. Edward's hands flew across the stellar Aegis control interface, his eyes darting between holographic displays. "Shield integrity dropping," he reported, his voice tense. 70%, 65. General Blackwell leaned over the command console, his face etched with concern. "We need more power. Are there any reserve systems?" Edward's fingers danced across the controls, bringing up schematics of Earth's hidden defenses. "There might be," he muttered, eyes widening as he uncovered a network of backup generators buried deep beneath the planet's surface. Without hesitation, he initiated the activation sequence. Across the globe, long-dormant machinery hummed to life. In the depths of the Mariana Trench, beneath the shifting sands of the Sahara, and within the icy expanse of Antarctica, ancient power sources surged with energy. The planetary shield pulsed with renewed strength, its luminescence intensifying. "Shield integrity stabilizing," Edward announced, a hint of relief in his voice. "Holding at 80%. In orbit, Admiral Cthor's fleet engaged the Krax forces in a dizzying ballet of destruction. Galactic Federation ships darted between the lumbering Krax vessels, using the gravitational distortions created by their quantum singularities to execute impossible maneuvers. Earth's biomechanical ships, fresh from the Pacific portal, joined the fray, their adaptive hulls shimmering and morphing to deflect incoming fire. Cthoreth's voice crackled over the comms. Earth fleet, form up on my wing. We'll punch through their left flank. The hybrid vessels responded instantly, falling into formation with practiced ease. As they charged towards the Crack's lines, their hulls rippled and shifted, developing sharp, angular protrusions that sliced through enemy shields like knives through butter. On Mars, the crystalline towers pulsed with energy, their network expanding rapidly across the planet's surface. The silicon-based life forms evolved at an unprecedented rate, their consciousness merging with the ancient construct systems. Mars became a nexus of information, coordinating the solar system's defenses with machine-like precision. Waves of energy projectiles launched from Martian defense platforms, forming intricate patterns in space. These projectiles wove between friendly ships before detonating amidst the Crack's fleet, creating a web of destructive force that shredded entire squadrons. Venus, its surface now visible after eons of obscurity, revealed its own deadly arsenal. Mountain ranges shifted, exposing massive energy cannons that tracked the movement of Crack's ships with unerring accuracy. Beams of concentrated plasma lanced out from the Venusian surface, catching several Crack's capital ships in a devastating crossfire. In the asteroid belt, swarms of autonomous drones continued their relentless assault. These agile machines darted between rocks and debris, their movements too erratic for Crack's targeting systems to track effectively. They sacrificed themselves in coordinated kamikaze attacks, overwhelming Crack's shields and creating vulnerable gaps in their defensive lines. As the battle raged across the inner solar system, strange phenomena began to manifest among the gas giants. Jupiter's great red spot swirled with increasing intensity, emitting powerful electromagnetic pulses that played havoc with Crack's communications. Saturn's rings glowed with an otherworldly light, generating waves of gravitational distortion that further disrupted the enemy fleet's formations. Aboard the ancient construct, Major Sterling and his team worked feverishly to decipher the purpose of the mysterious countdown. Dr. Tsin's fingers flew across alien control panels, her eyes darting between holographic displays filled with incomprehensible symbols. "Major," she called out, her voice tight with tension, "I think I've found something. The countdown, it's not just a timer. It's an activation sequence for the entire station." Sterling leaned over her shoulder, his brow furrowed. "What kind of activation?" Before Tsin could respond, the construct shuddered violently. Energy coursed through its structure, causing dormant systems to flare to life. The countdown reached zero, and a blinding pulse of energy erupted from the station, engulfing the entire solar system in a wash of brilliant light. For a moment, all combat ceased. Earth and Crack's forces alike were bathed in the strange energy field, their weapons falling silent. As the light faded, Sterling and his team watched in awe as the construct began to unfold and transform around them. Massive sections of the station shifted and realigned, revealing hidden chambers and colossal energy cores. The construct grew in size, its form becoming more organic, more alive. A powerful tractor beam activated, drawing in the remains of the Crack's fleet. Sterling watched as Crack's ships, caught in the beam's inexorable pull, were systematically disassembled and absorbed into the growing structure of the ancient vessel. The construct's internal systems hummed with newfound power, and a flood of information poured into the station's databanks. Dr. Tsin's eyes widened as she processed the incoming data. "Major," she breathed, her voice filled with wonder, "this isn't just a weapon or a defensive system. It's a seed ship designed to nurture and protect developing civilizations across the galaxy." As the last of the Crack's fleet was absorbed, the seed ship began to interface with Earth's defensive systems. The awakened technologies across the solar system integrated into a cohesive whole, forming a network of unprecedented power and complexity. Holographic displays throughout the ship and on Earth flickered to life, revealing the true extent of humanity's role in a grand, galaxy-spanning plan set in motion eons ago. Sterling and his team stood in stunned silence, the weight of this revelation settling upon them. The immediate threat had been neutralized, but as Sterling looked out at the transformed solar system, he realized that humanity's greatest challenge and its greatest adventure was just beginning. The integration of these ancient systems and the responsibilities they brought would reshape human civilization and its place in the galaxy in ways they had yet to fully comprehend. As the ancient energies surged through the solar system, Major Sterling and his team stood transfixed by the holographic displays flooding the construct's control room. The final pieces of a cosmic puzzle, set in motion eons ago, fell into place before their eyes. "My God!" breathed Sterling, his voice barely above a whisper. "It's not just a weapon or a shield. It's our destiny." Dr. Tsinne's fingers danced across the alien interface, her eyes wide with wonder. "Major," the data streaming in, "it's beyond anything we could have imagined. Earth, our entire solar system, it was all part of a grand design." The holographic displays coalesced into a breathtaking visualization of the solar system's history. Humanity's struggles, triumphs, and evolution played out in accelerated time, revealing the true nature of Earth's harsh conditions. We were being tested, Sterling realized, his pupils dilating from the implications. Every challenge, every obstacle, it was all to prepare us for this moment. As if responding to Sterling's epiphany, the construct shuddered with newfound purpose. A brilliant beam of energy erupted from its core, lancing out to touch each planet and moon in the solar system. On the bridge of Sentinel, General Blackwell watched in awe as Mars underwent a startling transformation. The red planet's surface rippled like water, erupting into a tapestry of green and blue. Vast forests sprang up in seconds, while oceans filled ancient basins. The crystalline towers pulsed with energy, merging seamlessly with the newly formed organic landscape. "Sir," called out a junior officer, her voice filled with disbelief, "we're detecting atmospheric changes on Venus. The toxic clouds, they're dissipating." Blackwell leaned forward, his weathered face illuminated by the shifting holographic displays. As Venus's impenetrable shroud lifted, the planet's true face was revealed for the first time in millions of years. Gleaming cities of an impossible architecture emerged from the mists, their spires reaching towards the stars. In Earth orbit, Admiral Cthor's jaw dropped as he witnessed the transformation of the gas giant's moons. Europa's icy surface cracked and melted, revealing vast oceans teeming with bioluminescent life. Titan's methane lakes churned with activity, giving birth to silicon-based organisms that defied conventional biology. Back on Earth, Edward worked feverishly at the stellar Aegis controls in the Sahara facility. The planet pulsed with newfound energy as hidden structures activated in every ecosystem. Animals across the globe displayed sudden bursts of intelligence, while plants demonstrated unprecedented adaptability. "This is incredible," Edward muttered, his fingers flying across the interface. "The stellar Aegis, it's not just a defense system. It's a tool for guided evolution." In the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Alexander Volkov felt a strange sensation wash over him. His consciousness expanded, merging with a vast network of hybrid organisms he had created. In an instant, he became aware of every ecosystem on the planet, connected to a living, global internet of incomprehensible complexity. As the solar system settled into its new equilibrium, the remnants of the Crack's fleet underwent their own transformation. The absorbed ships reconfigured into sleek exploration vessels, their weapons rep-imbued with sensors and terraforming equipment. Aboard the transformed Sentinel, now a mobile academy orbiting Earth, General Blackwell addressed a gathered crowd of human and alien representatives. "Today marks a new chapter in the history of not just Earth, but our entire galaxy. We have been given a great responsibility, and we must rise to meet it." Major Sterling and Dr. Tsin stood at the forefront of the assembly, their eyes meeting with a shared understanding. As Blackwell's speech concluded, Sterling stepped forward. "General," he said, his voice steady with purpose, "Dr. Tsin and I volunteer to lead the first expedition beyond our solar system. If Earth is to be the guardian of life in the galaxy, we need to find other worlds seeded by the ancients and awaken their potential." Blackwell nodded, a mix of pride and concern on his face. "Godspeed, Major. The hopes of Earth go with you." As preparations for the expedition began, the solar system continued its miraculous transformation. Earth, once a crucible of hardship, blossomed into a vibrant jewel. Its continents reshaped themselves, creating a harmonious balance of sprawling nature preserves and futuristic cities that seemed to grow organically from the landscape. Mars, Venus, and the transformed moons became nurturing grounds for new civilizations, each developing its unique culture under humanity's guidance. The asteroid belt, once a barrier, now bustled with activity as space habitats and research stations pushed the boundaries of science and exploration. In a grand ceremony spanning every transformed world in the solar system, humanity celebrated its ascension. As the first wave of seed ships prepared to launch, led by Sterling and Tsin's vessel, a palpable sense of anticipation filled the air. Sterling stood at the helm of his ship, gazing out at the transformed Earth through a quantum-entangled viewer. The once blue planet now shimmered with an opalescent glow, a beacon of life and hope in the cosmic ocean. "All systems ready, Major," reported Dr. Tsin from her station. "The seed ship is primed for its maiden voyage." Sterling took a deep breath, feeling the weight of history on his shoulders. With a mixture of pride, excitement, and humility, he gave the command that would carry humanity's legacy to the stars. "Engage hyperspace drive. Let's see what wonders await us out there." As the seed ship leaped into the unknown, Earth and its solar system stood poised at the dawn of a new era. No longer a death world, but the birthplace of a galactic renaissance, its children destined to nurture the spark of life across the cosmos.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.